It's time for Twit. I'm going to get Snapchat lessons with Nick Bilton and Baratunde Thurston. We'll also take a look at the Silk Road case, Nick's in the courtroom, and a lot more. Twit is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 495, recorded February 1st, 2015. Why is it pointed at me? This Week in Tech is brought to you by Squarespace.com. Creating and editing your website has never been easier with Squarespace 7. It's so easy, Jeff Bridges created his website, dreamingwithjeff.com. Try it now. Visit Squarespace.com and enter offer code TWIT at checkout to get 10% off. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/twit2 and follow Audible on Twitter. User ID audible_com. And by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you can grow and protect your wealth. Best of all, it's free. And for a limited time, Twit users could qualify for up to $10,000 on any new account. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/twit. And by FreshBooks, the easy-to-use invoicing software designed to help small business owners save time billing and get paid faster. Join over 5 million users running their business with ease. Try it free at freshbooks.com/twit. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the latest tech news. Super Sunday episode. Nick Bilton is here from the New York Times Fashion and Leisure section.
What are you talking about?
What section are you in now?
Just keep going.
Author of I Live in the Future and Skype Works here. He's also the author of Hatching Twitter, a fabulous book, and he's working on a new one we'll talk about in just a second. Also, right next to him, actually, Baratunde Thurston of CultivatedWit.com. Baratunde, of course, the author of How to Be Black. That was a joke, the How to Be White book. He's not doing that.
Nope, it's already been done.
It's already been done.
Most other books.
Baratunde, great to see you again.
It's so good to be back. It's been quite a while. I have not done a remote into Twit in forever, and it's good to sort of see your face. So thanks for real.
I love getting Baratunde and Bilton on. These are magical shows. The B&B shows, yeah.
Let's not build it up too much. Let's see how this all plays out. We've got some fun technical start.
Yeah. Well, we should just point out Nick at any time could fall off the face of the earth, but
but I'll be here in digital spirit.
In digital spirit. So you're working on a success. It's not a successor to Hatching Twitter. It's a new book about the Silk Road.
It is. It's that news came out this week, and I'm writing the book about the Silk Road and the Dread Pirate Roberts, and a crazy story.
The trial going on right now.
Yeah, I was in New York the last couple of weeks covering the trial, and I finally understand why they call it courtroom drama. Why? Because there's so much drama. It's just so intense, and everyone is the prosecution and the defense, and it's one of the few instances where I think on television they are not able to capture the real drama that's taking place. In a courtroom, it's really, really intense.
I agree, and whenever I have free time, I like to sit in courtrooms and watch, because sometimes it can be it really is better than the TV shows. It's really great.
It's amazing because you're in there, and I'm in the press gaggle with great reporters from Forbes and Wired and so on that have been covering the whole thing from the beginning. And to the left of us in the other seats is the family. Ross Ulbricht, who is accused of being the Dread Pirate Roberts. You see his dad and his mom and his sister and all these people, and it's incredibly difficult to kind of watch that, to see the reality of what this story could end up doing to them. So
what are you noticing from especially people on this show who listen to the show are much more tech literate about things like the dark internet and whatnot. Now you're in the mainstream. You're in a public courtroom where maybe they don't know nearly as much as these listeners. Is that, from what you've seen, even the little bit you've seen, is that an issue? Are you pulling your hair up no, that's not how it works?
That is an excellent question, because there's a couple of things that are going on in the trial where somebody from Vice wrote this really great piece that said the problem with the jury in the Silk Road trial is they don't understand the internet, and they literally, as far as we're all concerned, they don't. They've never heard of Bitcoin. They've never heard of Tor, the dark web. They don't know what cryptocurrencies are. They don't even understand. I mean, they don't understand certain instances of emoji and things like that. So there's these instances in court where there was one moment where the prosecution was reading the chat log between the Dread Pirate Roberts and one of his people that worked for him, and he didn't mention a smiley face emoji. And so there was after the jury had walked out at lunchtime, there was a big discussion and debate about whether the emoji should be explained and so on. And just that alone was really fascinating. The other thing that's been interesting is the prosecution and the judge have been pushing for a glossary that the jury can have that would explain what the Bitcoin means, or what this or that the other are. And the defense is kind of pushing against it, because I think that one of the goals of the defense is to kind of confuse a little bit as to what these things mean and what they are. But there's also, it's really difficult for them to come up with a conclusive definition of what certain technologies are, because they mean different things to everyone. You could, if you're the prosecution, you could say Tor is a network that is used for the dark web mostly to go and buy drugs. If you're the defense, you can say Tor is a network that people who live overseas can safely talk to their family and friends with. So it's been really fascinating seeing that. But you definitely get the sense that they have no concept of what people are talking about most of the time.
Were you there for jury selection?
I was there for jury selection.
Obviously both sides wanted this jury, right?
Yeah, so both sides didn't want anyone who understood tech too much. They didn't want people.
That is
no, it's
amazing.
true.
No, seriously.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. One of the questions they would ask to decide who they were going to put on the jury was, they didn't want anyone on the jury who read the news on their mobile devices or on their computer. They wanted people that read the news and using traditional newspapers and media sources. And so it really is interesting, and it is definitely a wide range of our peers of all walks of life. And it's funny. There's one guy in the back who, like, you see him like kind of falling asleep sometime. He like catches himself, like when they're explaining how like a Bitcoin exchange works. They get into the minutia of every single aspect of it, and they're showing MD5 hashes and this, that, and the other.
They're hoping to obfuscate it.
Yeah,
confuse them.
So I wonder. I mean, one of these,
because they don't need to know that to understand.
No, and that's part of the beauty. I mean, justice should transcend your understanding of like networking protocols. There's the sense of right and wrong should somehow still be available if the story is being told effectively. And I'm just like, for us, it would be like traveling 20 years into the future and being jurist on a trial about things we've never heard of, but we can still somehow suss out when someone's being wronged or being wrong in a situation. It's like it's an interesting theoretical test for me of like how much information is required to render a sound judgment.
Although I have to say, I've watched a lot of The Good Wife, so I feel like I understand how this works now.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, I watched Perry when I was 5, so I'm a lawyer now.
You're actually right. I know a couple of lawyers I've spoken to, and they said The Good Wife is exactly right every single time in the legal aspects that they do. So you probably do know.
I feel like there's this ideal, which Baratunde, you just described, of, hey, we don't need to understand the nitty-gritty, the technical details to understand this case. But then there's the reality of it, which is that both sides are really trying to obfuscate. Their interest is in not having the jury understand this case. In either case, because the more they don't understand, the easier it is for them to slant it in a way that favors
you
their
can
side.
Manipulate people who are ignorant much more than you can manipulate people who have a full understanding. Yeah. And that is the premise of our democracy. USA, USA, USA.
Well, I do have to say though, it has been a very eye-opening experience to see that, because you have this assumption that people do understand Bitcoin and so on. And the other thing that's been really fascinating is, as a reporter at the New York Times, my job is to kind of explain these things in layman's terms to people. And you definitely see that there are other industries where that is completely 100% necessary. There should be someone on the legal teams of both groups, being able to come up with really good analogies for how bitcoins are exchanged or
Well,
what Tor is.
It's a challenge of storytelling. Not to get too much in the weeds, but Serial is obviously a podcast people have been talking about a lot, and I ended up having a conversation with an assistant district attorney who said, look, every case is muddy, and there is no pure truth that we have access to. Like, people think if I just had more information, I could absolutely know exactly what happened, when, and where. And that's not the case. We never have full information. We have our best judgment. We have our best storytelling capabilities, and we have a little bit of faith and trust. And that's better than zero. That's better than like random slaughter and assassination executions. So we're above that. We're not medieval anymore. But pure justice is probably not attainable. And someone in the chat room also added, like, yeah, there's a lot of tech in this case, but if you are looking at a case that involves like high performance automobiles, and that's key to the case, like, most people don't know about that either. So there's always going to be some gap in like full education, and our system shouldn't require everyone to be an expert on internet technology.
It's pretty easy to understand that what was going on, that Silk Road was kind of a black market using the internet to sell illicit goods, including drugs, online. You don't need to know Tor. You don't need, but
you don't need a special degree to know
any of this. But what you have to do, is the jury is follow the logic of Ross Ulbricht being the kid who ran it. Well, that's tough because the evidence. I dimly remember the FBI catching him about a year ago and how they caught him, and I think that's what the jury is going to have to assess: is this electronic evidence compelling that he did it? Because there's no smoking gun. It's not like he was seen.
I'll tell you what the smoking gun was. The smoking gun was actually the defense's opening statement, where the judge, Draytell, who is representing Ross, came out in the open and in the beginning
the attorney,
Draytell, came out in the beginning and said, my client started the Silk Road, but then it got a little overwhelming and he left soon after, and then
he's not the Dread Pirate Roberts.
He's not the Dread Pirate Roberts, and the real Dread Pirate Roberts framed him, and so on. But that was a shock in the courtroom when he said, my client started it, because from the beginning, the defense has always said that they had nothing to do with it.
Draytell said, quote, he created it as a completely freewheeling, free market site that could sell anything. In other words, it's just a marketplace, except a couple of items that were harmful. But after several months, the work became too stressful, and Mr. Ulbricht handed it off to others. And then he's the fall guy, perfect fall guy for the real guy.
One of my favorite little moments in the trial was when they had one of the FBI forensics experts come out and explain what they found on Ross's laptop when they caught him in the library. And as he was logged into the Silk Road as mastermind and all these things, he was also BitTorrenting at that very moment a video interview with Stephen Colbert and Vince Gilligan, of the creator of Breaking Bad, which I thought was quite ironic.
I like that.
Yeah. So he's the one who knocks.
We've learned some interesting things from this trial. One of the things that was kind of a huge story was that Mt. Gox am I right on this? Had invested in Silk Road? What's the story there?
Oh, there was a point in time when the CEO Mark Karpeles of Mt. Gox was considered the possible Dread Pirate Roberts, and that was originally going to be the defense's case, that it could have been him, but the prosecution argued, well, there was 400 people that it could have been until we found the right person. There were always other suspects in the case, but there was some stuff that went on with the servers being housed in certain places that could have been perceived, and there was all these different things, but that was all kind of squashed after the fact.
Catherine Forrest, the judge, said no. That's inadmissible. The fact that the Department of Homeland Security thought it might be Mark Karpeles is inadmissible.
Yep.
It's fascinating to watch this. How much more longer is this trial expected to go on?
The prosecution is going to rest. It was supposed to rest actually Monday, tomorrow, but because of the snow, they're expecting to delay the trial a day. So the prosecution will probably rest on Tuesday, and the defense is expected to take 2 more days. They have 7 to 8 character witnesses coming, and then there are 2 big questions. The first big question is Will Ross testify? If he does, it's going to be 2 days. They think of back and forth, but it's a risky bet for him to testify. And
as in every case, when the accused if he doesn't testify, there's some presumption the jury might think he's avoiding being questioned because he's guilty. If he does, he could absolutely say something stupid and the trial's over. It's always a challenge. I know this from watching The Good Wife. By the way, I
know exactly. Serial. So. I went to the law school.
Serial is law school, isn't it? Yeah.
My podcast networks. It's great. It's much more affordable than actual law.
So after the defense rests, they're going to do their closing statements, which I think are going to be very, very intense.
Yeah.
Because that's when they're going to really kind of get into the murders that didn't necessarily happen, but they were.
He was accused of offering Bitcoin to assassins.
Yeah, so that's when they're going to get into that from the prosecution side, and that's when the defense is going to get into all these other people that could have been and how his laptop may have been taken over by hackers and so on, and then the jury has to decide, and there are a lot of charges against him, some of which there's a kingpin charge which could be life in jail. There's numerous drug charges. If he's found guilty, he's going to be in quite some trouble.
30 years old, he could be spending the rest of his life in prison.
Yeah, there was one moment it's amazing to see all the things that take place in the courtroom when there's not court in session. But there was one moment when one of the days when during the lunch break, the same judge sentenced someone else, a man, to jail for 12 years for drug dealing, and his family were there and they were screaming and crying and.
Yeah.
It's intense stuff. Really like to see it firsthand. It's really, really, really intense.
I was on a jury for one of the trials. Remember the horrible thing they used to do on NBC, To Catch a Predator? MSNBC, where they would set up a house and they would entice people to come there and predate on young girls. And I was on the jury of one of these guys who was being tried. And it's a similar kind of thing because the jury has to they're reading transcripts from chat rooms and all sorts of stuff, and a very similar issue of how much technical information do you need for this. But it was interesting because we heard the prosecution's case, and then the judge threw it out, saying it's entrapment. You don't have to hear the defense; it's over, and he let the guy go. But I've had a similar experience. But what we didn't have, and what you have, which is great, is the stuff where the jury's out of the room. And all the wrangling over a smiley face. The judge finally did rule that the smiley face is part of the information of the message and should be read.
And the judge ruled that they didn't want the chat logs being read with any sort of special emphasis.
Don't they just? Why don't they? Do they not have a big screen in the courtroom to show? Like this is a visual medium. Why are we?
They still have to speak. It has to be for the record, so that someone still has to speak what they're showing. And it's transcribed.
Yeah, we did the same thing. Where and you have people reading in a dry, dull voice. This young girl, supposedly, who's an adult woman, talking to this adult, and it's very.
They should. This is like. There's a lot. I'm in LA the past few months. There's a lot of out of work actors here. I think we should maybe.
No, because any dramatization slants it. Any dramatization slants it.
And we'll do multiple versions and let the jury. That's even more work for actors. I guess what I'm saying, guys, is I support the arts.
I agree.
And I think we need
it's a hire an actor
arts programs in this country, especially in our criminal justice system.
We'll watch with interest. Nick, you're in the middle of writing a book about this. Boy, what a story. And obviously it'd be a great movie. Fox has already optioned the book.
I'm working with these two guys from Epic Magazine. They are one of the guys, Josh Berman, did the movie Argo. He wrote the magazine piece that became Argo. So we're kind of teaming up to do the movie stuff, and I'm doing the book stuff. And
it'll be a great movie.
It's a really, really fascinating story.
How long after the trial do you expect the book to come out? Is it one of those things where you're going to try to turn around right away while there's still interest, or?
I think there'll be interest for quite some time. I think it's a story that it's Breaking Bad, in real life. Yeah. Without the crystal meth. But maybe there was crystal meth.
There was
on the
crystal
site,
meth.
So,
yes,
yeah,
all sorts
of
stuff.
That's the whole excitement.
And hired assassins. I mean, this is a great. It's amazing.
So I'm hoping that hopefully we'll get the book done by the end of the year, and we'll see how long Hollywood wants to take to do the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Will they
Yeah, it's
get
exciting.
Johnny Depp to play the Dread Pirate Roberts? That would be kind of neat.
That would be epic. And then we could get Baratunde to play his mistress.
Okay, I don't know what
where
that
that's
means.
going.
I don't know where that's going. He's wearing a Boys in the Hood hat. Where did you get that hat?
I got it from this shop on neighborhood called Fairfax.
It's kind
here
of
in
retro.
LA.
Is that considered
Yeah,
nostalgia?
No, the shop is called Youth, and they have some really cool stuff. And I felt like I'm doing this. I live in New York. I also am starting to live more here, and this is me and trying to embrace instead of pretending like I'm just visiting. Like, let me try to.
You're in the hood. You want to feel old? You know how old that movie is? 23 years old.
No, Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, 1991.
You want to feel old?
Feel old.
It's funny, Leo. That somehow makes me feel younger and more invincible.
Okay, whatever it takes.
Your dark magic doesn't work.
We're gonna. I'm trying. We're gonna take a break. You notice the hat? I'm gonna
grab my power cord while you take a quick break.
Grab your power cord because battery life is a terrible thing to waste. When we come back, we're going to talk about the most successful quarter, the highest quarterly profits in the history of the world. In the history of the world. But first, it's Super Sunday. And we got a big Super Bowl ad coming up from our favorite guys. They're doing it against Squarespace. And I'm really excited about this. Squarespace.com. It's a great place to create your own website, whether it's for a business or for personal, for a portfolio. So they've teamed up with Jeff Bridges. You remember the scene in The Big Lebowski where he's bowling and he's flying over the bowling alley? They have made a dreamingwithjeff.com site. This will be a great test. We've always said you cannot bring a Squarespace site down. They are going to, how many people watch the Super Bowl? 40 million people will be going to this site at once. If they can survive 40 million people visiting a website at the same time, they can host your site. The Jeff Bridges Sleeping Tapes is a Super Bowl ad featuring his album of relaxing sounds and stories to put you to sleep. What is he out there? Can you put the sound up? What is he recording?
Squarespace. I want to show you guys how you can make your own Squarespace.
The dude
site,
is a character. He is a character. Kevin Flynn is also in this, or he was Kevin Flynn from Tron. I don't know if Kevin Flynn makes an appearance in this. Squarespace.com if you want to check out not only the ad, but also his site. And if you want a great site like Jeff Bridges, go to squarespace.com and take a look at Squarespace 714 new designs. That means there's a total of 30 templates, even one that Jeff Bridges uses. For musicians, for architects, for artists, they've got some great custom sites for anybody. Weddings, restaurants, e-commerce. Making changes is so much easier because now you can edit on a live edit on a single screen. You don't have to go back and forth to a preview mode. They have Getty images for just $10 each. Thousands of images for you. Social media is built in. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, Tumblr, YouTube, Pinterest, and more.
They got the social media.
They got it locked in, man. They know how to do that. And I think, for you, Baratunde, as you build this new career, Squarespace would be a great place for you.
Oh, man. I mean,
tour dates.
One of the things that I like about your advertisers is that I already use all of them. So I have no issue whatsoever with jumping in and
don't we love them? Don't we love them? Yeah.
I found out about Squarespace, 6 years ago because of Twit.
Yeah.
Been using them since. We use them.
Oh, that's nice.
At Cultivated Wit, we're doing this comedy hackathon at comedyhackday.org. Try to bring that down, Twit.
Is that a Squarespace site?
That's a Squarespace site. They're actually a sponsor of our
that's great.
event. And so we'll be the part of San Francisco Sketch Fest.
That's great.
1 week, February 8th, Marines Terminal.
Everybody go to comedyhackday.org now. Bring it down.
Check that
You can't.
out. Try
You
your
can't.
worst.
You can't.
Throw your iPads at it. Just do it. Just hit
And you
it
know what's
hard.
great? You could try it free for 2 weeks. You don't need it. Oh, look, Anil Dash. You don't need to pay for the first 2 weeks. You don't even need to give them a credit card. That'll give you a great sense of what it can do. And then if you decide to buy it as little as $8 a month, you buy a year, you get the domain name free. I mean, it really is a great deal for the best hosting and the best software. Got to try it. When you do buy, make sure you use Twit. I hope you use Twit to get 10% off, Baratunde.
We should. Well, because they were working with us.
You didn't have to worry about
didn't
that.
have to do it that
You
way,
had your
but
own code.
Other sites, for sure. No, Squarespace.
February 6th through 8th. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a 2-day event. People show up. This is like a fun, weird thing. Basically, comedians and software developers get together to make funny apps on purpose. in a 48-hour sprint.
And Veronica Belmont's one of your judges. That's awesome.
We have Scott Aukerman as a judge, Natasha Leggero, Jonah Ray from Nerdist, and Veronica Belmont.
What a great panel.
Everything. And I'm hosting it, so if people are not disgusted by me, they should show up for that as well. And yeah, so it's like sometimes Silicon Valley produces ridiculous apps that we all love to make fun of. We're doing it on purpose. And
what was the weirdest one last time that you did this?
You know, my recent favorite was a hardware one. These kids from Stanford, they actually created an API and hacked into a Furby, and they made the Furby wearable. So they were really, obviously,
that's awesome.
Lampooning a bit of Google Glass, a bit of Siri at the same time, so you could talk to the Furby, ask for directions, but the Furby would be like really inappropriate with its responses. It would judge people around you. It was amazing feat of engineering for them to pull that off in basically 30 hours and be ready to perform that in front of a live audience. So we never know what people are going to make when they come into the weekend. We start on a Friday.
What fun.
But by Sunday evening, these things actually work. Like it adheres to the hackathon rules of workable demo. It adheres to the comedy rules of funny as hell.
By the way, great looking site. Really nice.
Thank you. And that's our team over at Cultivated Wit. I'm so proud to say I had nothing to do with the site. Like I said, let's put it on Squarespace, but
it's nice.
It's really nice to be a part of
And they liked working with Squarespace. It was easy for them to get this
Squarespace has been with us almost from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's nice.
And not to just keep kissing their butts, but they really are. They're good. Like the reason they let you trial without giving up a credit card information.
That tells you something, doesn't it?
Trust.
Yeah.
The people who ask for your money before they've delivered a service.
Right.
That's because they don't have faith in their product. I like the idea that, hey, we're gonna let you use it for 14 days. If you still like it, then you can start paying.
Hey, if the dude uses Squarespace and Baratunde uses Squarespace
abides, y'all.
Squarespace abides, baby. And I can't wait. I'm gonna watch that on the Super Bowl. Squarespace. We'll just mention this again, and then we'll move on. Squarespace.com, offer code TWIT. I have to say I'm DVRing the Super Bowl, but it's because I want to see the commercials.
What time does it start?
I don't know.
It starts in 37 minutes.
Oh, shut up.
How long does it last?
Hours.
47 hours.
You know, I actually read it somewhere. If you edit out all the extra stuff, the huddles even, and the commercials, an entire NFL game is 11 minutes long. It's 11 minutes of actual action of people running into each other.
That's great.
Isn't that funny? And the Super Bowl is usually 3.5 to 4 hours. A normal football game is 3 hours.
You need a large container to hold all that money.
How much is this? You must, Nick, maybe you know this. How much is an ad on the Super Bowl this year?
It can be, well, it depends where you are. I mean, there was the news that The Verge had bought a $700 Super Bowl ad, and it's playing in a town and
try and find it.
It's playing in a town and somewhere in the Midwest that has 15 people live there.
But so if you're getting a Super Bowl ad on actual NBC,
millions.
I think it's $2 million a minute.
It says the Wall Street Journal tweeted, quote, a 30-second ad in this year's Super Bowl will set a brand back about $4.5 million.
What? For 30 seconds?
30 seconds. That is the Wall Street Journal. So
Squarespace, I'm told, bought 2 minutes.
And so how much did they pay you? $4.3 million?
No.
Leo, on this show?
And I think we're better than the Super Bowl. I might be wrong. Actually, Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a really good piece in which he said, no, it's worth it. I know it's $4 million, but it's worth it because of not just the ad, which does play to a huge audience.
It's the buzz.
But the buzz. I mean, how many times have I already watched the Budweiser ad and the GoDaddy parody?
Oh, and this year they got the Social Bowl. Like people are looking at all the interactive stuff that's going on.
Have you seen Kim Kardashian's Super Bowl ad?
Break the Super Bowl? Is that what she's going for?
I think she broke my TV.
No, I have not seen her. I haven't seen any of the ads.
It's an ad for T-Mobile.
Huh. All right.
Data sharing. Is it T-Mobile? For some phone company. See, that's the problem. This is the problem.
So it was a very effective ad.
That's the problem. I'm looking at Kim. I don't remember who the ad was. That's the problem. You can be too good.
Somebody might. No, the earned media you get out of spending all that money.
It's probably worth it.
It's probably worth it.
We're talking about it, right?
If I had $9 million a minute to spend, I would.
You know who has lots of money that could probably do this? And I wonder if they will. Apple Computer. Holy caboli, camoli.
Segue, ladies and gentlemen.
Holy mackerel, Andy.
Well done.
18.
How much money are we talking, Leo?
Okay, it's profit.
That's revenue minus
$18 billion in 3 months. That's $6 billion a month. $1.5 billion a week.
They could create their own league and have a competing Super Bowl, which gets more viewers than the original one.
Well, they have $142 billion cash in the bank. Like, they could write a check. Like, Tim Cook could walk up to me today and say, Leo, I like the cut of your jib. Here's a check for $142 billion. Signed, Tim Cook. And it would be good. It wouldn't bounce. What else could you buy with that kind of money?
What would you do with that money, Leo, if you had that money?
I'd buy the Super Bowl ad.
And you would just sit there and be like, my name is Leo Laporte.
Buy a 1 hour infomercial.
This is a 1 hour infomercial in the Super Bowl.
Like, get back to the game. Sorry, guys. I bought it.
I bought it.
I own
you got to look at this head.
Yeah.
Now, by the way,
So
all of
here's
Apple's...
something interesting to note is Apple made more money in its last quarter than Amazon did in the entire entire year last year. 66 million in revenue from Google, and Apple was 75.8. Is that right?
Yeah. 32. Oh, yeah. I have to go back now to the let's see. They sold iPhone sales. It was billions.
Revenue with Apple's revenue was $74.6 billion.
$74 billion.
And Google's for the year was 66 billion.
In one quarter, that's revenue. 18 billion in profit, though, is what blows me away. There's no company in the history of the world that has made that much profit that fast.
And then if you look at the breakdown of it, it's iPhone.
It's iPhone.
It's
iPhone. In fact, iPad sales down 22%.
When you make a phone that looks as big as
like
the
an
iPhone
iPad
6 and the 6 Plus,
yeah,
then
who's
you
going to buy
cannibalize yourself a bit. It's a little redundant.
They sold 74.5 million iPhones, a mere 21.5 million iPads.
Yeah, they're so. And I was not a part, and this is it. I was not a part of that. I write the last page in Fast Company every month, and I did my most recent column on slowing down the tech upgrades because I'm just starting to get a little more conscious about the cost of these devices, not in dollars, but in instead of human lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
All that stuff. There's a film on Indiegogo, Who Pays the Price, which digs really deep into this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so my 5 works fine. I got a new case and I cleaned the screen.
Good for you.
It's very new.
You're a good person.
And if I really want the phone to feel new, then I'll just like reformat it.
Wait, you got a new case?
Yeah, my
That's
other case
up.
stopped being
That's
effective.
messed up. No, that's messed up.
You know,
That
that
goes against
case,
everything you believe in.
that
That's
case,
like saying, yeah.
it's blood case. That's
yeah,
a
it's
blood
blood
case.
case.
That case,
You know how many people were killed for that case?
that's a blood
Baratunde?
case. It's made out of elephant hide.
But no, there's I'm curious, their dependence on when do they saturate? Right? Is this how sustainable is the growth of iPhone net sales for Apple and how
Dude, I was saying Apple's over a year ago. I was so wrong. I was along with other people I didn't believe it. And
you just lost your vocabulary. I love that.
Skeptical. I was skeptical.
Yeah.
I felt like Tim Cook had lost a little mojo, that Apple wasn't going to be able to keep it going. And I got to say this. It is not technologically, iPhone is a beautiful piece of work, but it is not, the software especially, not particularly sophisticated technologically.
No, people aren't.
They don't care. That's not what they're looking for.
Technical sophistication.
So here's something that's interesting.
Visible technical sophistication.
I'm doing this on my phone because I don't want to screw up my Skype connection. So I tweeted this the other day that IDC reported that was 1.3 billion smartphones shipped last year. So 318 million that were Samsung and 192 million that were Apple, and then a bunch of other stuff on top of that. But you just asked when is it going to saturate? That there are still multiple billions of people that don't own smartphones, and they won't for several years.
And that's why
and
Apple and others are embracing China, right? It's a big market.
As long as they create something that actually, like, the world of non-smartphone users are not buying iPhone 6s. That is a ridiculous price
Somebody
point.
in the chat room said a good thing. Apple's technical supremacy may be over. That doesn't matter. Their sales supremacy is far from over.
Brand supremacy is.
Brand supremacy.
No, they've convinced a big chunk of the world that they are smartphones.
And yet Samsung outsells them.
Yeah.
And
They
is
just
losing money.
They don't out-profit them. Yeah.
They don't
Apple's-
out-profit them.
They make a device that people love and a business that people
40% margin on Apple sales. Well,
Gotta
but
give you
I mean,
that.
if you're, I mean, the Shane Company jewelers, they got 1,000% margin. That's not the only factor. They didn't sell 74 million diamond tennis bracelets.
Thank God. That would be the end of humanity.
And Tim Cook let drop that in April the Apple Watch will ship.
Oh, and will it last like an hour? What's the battery life on that thing?
Oh, there's
40
actually. Go ahead.
It'll last the length of a $4.3 million Super Bowl ad.
That would be good.
That's the anticipated length of they're saying a day, but that, if you're sitting there playing with your watch all the time, it'll probably be a couple hours.
I'm really curious about the real world life on that, because if you have to constantly basically they're assuming you'll just take it off at night and charge it, but if you have to do that in the middle of the day at any point, that breaks the flow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So Mark Gurman had a great Mark
Like
Gurman
you-
had a great post, as often the case. He's a good scoop from inside Apple on 9 to 5 Mac, in which he said they are working very hard on battery life. Obviously, a big issue, and he says they believe internally they have more to eke out of it. But what they're saying, let me see if I can find it.
I love that the laws of physics are resistant to your piles of cash. You got $18 billion. How many billions in the bank? You can't just buy your way into a better battery future. Like, how much profits have been generated since the last innovation in batteries? We're just not doing it.
Yeah.
So there's something else happening there that even the mighty Apple is
Hey,
gonna
the
launch
laws of
this
physics.
product,
Yeah.
and be weak in a certain sense, because we don't want to have to charge our watches in the middle of the day. That's silly.
I can't find the numbers. I think their goal was 3 hours of screen time a day. So obviously, it's really true, as anybody knows who has a smartwatch. I use the Android Wear watches. That use, and this is true of smartphones, use makes a big difference. And everybody uses it differently.
If you don't use the watch, it lasts forever.
Right. No, actually 19 hours.
19 hours.
If you don't use it.
It's forever in device battery land. Yeah.
Wait, just 19 hours?
No, actually 2 to 3 days when sleeping.
Okay, got it.
So if you're in a coma,
But
your
here's the
smartphone
thing.
watch
Here's the
is gonna
thing. We don't know how people are going to use this because we don't know what the
we
apps are.
absolutely
It's brand
do know what
new. It's
Here's,
brand
here's
new.
what people are going to do with the Apple Watch. Hey, check out my Apple Watch. They're going to be the most annoying people, and they're going to tap the screen for their friends for the first 3 months, and then we'll figure out what the actual use is once the novelty wears.
Apple, according to 9 to 5, hopes the battery will last 2.5 to 4 hours of nonstop, like I'm playing a game on the watch.
Right.
19 hours if I'm looking at something and putting it down. And they have.
If you're in Dick Tracy mode,
Right.
2.5 to 4 hours.
But they have. And by the way, there are no standalone apps on the watch yet. That's later this year. So most people will be doing as I do with my Android Wear watch. You look at it, you get the time, maybe you're checking a notification, then you put it down, screen goes off. 19 hours, which is more than enough. That's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at what we just did with the Super Bowl math. It's an 11-minute event that somehow
Right.
stretches out for 4 hours.
It's kind of
So
like that.
actual phone use, like when
Right.
you actively engage in your phone screen, probably 11 minutes a day.
Of course, we'll know. The other story that I think is great from 9 to 5 Mac that just broke today is the Apple stores are installing safes to put the expensive watch
Oh,
in.
is that the gold one?
The edition.
They're really going to stock those in the stores?
They're going to Apple stores to be outfitted with safes to house gold Apple watches. People who are experts on watches say if that is a solid gold watch, which Apple's saying it is, obviously it's not solid gold. There's something inside, but if that's gold there,
battery.
that we're talking $5,000 to $6,000 minimum. That would be, and it could be a lot more depending on profit.
It doesn't
like
mean
the
that Apple
fancy
doesn't
looking one.
currently have safes in their stores with
Apparently-
tens of thousands of dollars worth of
apparently
Mac
not.
Pros and Apple displays.
This is how valuable this watch is. They finally had to install safes.
If I were an investor, which I'm not, I would be like, yo, Tim Cook, maybe the safe should have happened like a decade ago. What's going on? Protect my investment.
The aluminum and glass Apple Watch Sport will start at $349. Then there's a stainless steel one that we don't know how much it's going to be, and then there's the gold one.
I have no desire for the gold one. It looks tacky.
So
It
you
looks
have a
like
desire for an Apple Watch.
I actually do, because I know people that have them and that use them, and they say that it really kind of does change things a little bit. It's not like you don't need your smartphone anymore, but that moment when you're in a meeting and your phone rings and you look at it, or you get a text.
Who are using an Apple Watch?
Well, I know people at Apple that use the watches.
They said, Mark says there
is
is more than 1,000 prototypes in use at Apple now.
correct. That is correct.
It's a juicy market. I mean, I think there is the
So what are you? Wait. He knows people wearing Apple Watches. Hold on, Baratunde.
I broke the first story on the Apple Watch.
Hold on
that it was being made. I had the first.
I know, and I didn't
scoop on
believe it. I didn't believe it for a long time, Nick Bilton. I thought you were making it up, but no, you were right.
So what have we learned, Leo?
To listen to Nick.
Listen to me.
Listen to Nick.
Unless he's talking about a Skype setup.
Even though,
Unless yeah. Well,
when you live in the future, you know these things. That's all.
Yeah.
He's already worn one. So what do your friends tell you about wearing an Apple Watch?
Well, so like one guy I know who has one, he said that an Apple, it could not be a guy, it may be a woman. So don't go finding someone. He was saying that there'll be times that he's in a meeting and he doesn't necessarily pull his phone out and put it on the table anymore. It stays in his pocket, and if he gets a message, he'll like look at his watch. And he was saying that the feature where you can kind of write to someone by drawing on your wrist, there's like this thing where you can draw a little thing and you can send it to someone. The gesture. He said that like there's a colleague he works with and they get lunch a lot together, and sometimes he'll just literally write like L and send it, and it's like, oh, like lunch.
Oh, that's taptastic. I can't wait to have that.
But here's the thing, like this, if I was like, Baratunde, let's go get lunch, I got to open up my phone, I got to swipe to Baratunde's name, I got to type this. Like, what if I could just be like, Baratunde, L.
So first of all, hashtag first world problems. Second of all, there's the level of weight.
That's so sad.
Is an issue. I think at the opposite end of the spectrum, I've started doing something that has a similar effect on my
getting up,
politeness.
going over to the person, saying, "Hey, would you like to have lunch?"
Well, the idea of like being in a meeting or being at dinner, if you're in a physically social situation and you're always on your phone, you're probably a millennial because that's just normal for you. But if you're not, which most of the world still isn't, then I have a paper notebook that I write things down on. It's just far less offensive to be writing on a piece of paper while in a meeting in front of someone than it is to take out your phone and theoretically be doing Snapchat and texting.
I disagree with you. I interview people all the time, and I always say to them, I'm sorry, I'm taking notes on my phone. I'm not texting someone. They're like, oh, it's totally cool. Like, I think that there are dynamics that are changing.
They don't. You put them in a socially untenable situation to call you a liar.
Martin, I'm uninviting you to L, okay?
Have you ever heard of TechNeck?
No.
That's when you get wrinkles when you're in your 20s, but you got wrinkles here because you spend the whole time looking down at your phone. Smartphones cause drooping jowls and tech neck wrinkles in 18 to 39-year-olds. By the way, I should say this is from the
International Business
the International Business Times, despite its name, is not the best. It's not the journal of record for this kind of stuff. But
neck, that's weird.
Tech neck. The problem of wrinkles and sagging of the jowls and neck used to begin in late middle age, said Dr. Christopher Roland Payne, a consultant dermatologist at the London Clinic. In the last 10 years, because of tech neck, it's become a problem for a generation of younger women.
I mean, there is. I think even if we skip, Nick being kind of an asshole in his meetings, there's the
L.
There's
L?
the weight. There's
what else? Bartender, you know what else L stands for? Loser.
It stands for love.
That's what the question is. Do you know what that even means, L?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea that to find out what time it is, I've got to pull a thing, out of my pants or purse or bag.
Whoa! What are you doing?
Look at this huge screen.
He keeps it in his pants.
Versus pivoting my wrist.
I have to say, though, and by the way, if Apple, apparently these guys at Apple never wore an Android Wear watch or a Pebble watch, but we've had watches for a couple of years now.
No, there's never been anything until Apple's done.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Android Wear, that's exactly true. You do get your notifications there. You can respond to them on the watch. I don't know if you'll be able to do that. I guess there's a microphone in the Apple Watch, right? I can talk to it.
Do you like Secret Service?
Will it talk back?
Oh, here was another example someone was telling me about.
Okay, good.
They were walking with someone. They were walking. I'm walking right now.
With their bae. Okay, we'll say bae. Okay.
They were walking and they were in a conversation.
Yeah.
And their phone did something, and they pressed on the thing. I think it was Siri or something like that. They were at Apple, and they said, reply, on my way, see you in a second, and then continued the conversation. And they said that afterwards, the person was like, that was insane. I just had a conversation with my watch and with my wrist and told someone that I would be right there.
I do that all the time with an Android Wear watch.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So
it's true.
So
there's value to it. However, I haven't worn it in a couple of. I changed phones, so I haven't worn it in a couple of days, maybe a week. And it's not like I'm going, oh gosh, oh, it's horrible. I have to now take the phone out of my pocket. So you're both right.
Oh, look at this guy trying to have it both ways. So basically, what he's saying is, I'm right, Nick. I'm sorry.
I'm saying it's a nice thing, but it's a luxury, and I think that's part of the issue is going to be, and
so's pasteurized milk. At a time.
Oh, you know what? Okay, here's the thing. Here's what's going on, right? This is all part of a larger thing that is taking place. I live in the future. I know how this works. So what's going on is they're all like Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, they're all competing for this intelligence where you actually have a voice commands.
Right.
So like one of the things is Alexa, right? The Amazon little doodad.
Yes,
have you seen that?
It's starting to come out now. Yeah.
When it works, it's amazing.
It's snarky.
I mean, you can say, Alexa, order me some pens, and Alexa will add it to your Amazon on list. Like, and I think that Siri.
One click. I mean, is that like a one click? Is that now I will get pens in the mail, or do I have to take another step?
I think there's a way you can set it so you will, but I think mostly what it does is it gets put in your queue. I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah. Sorry.
We have somebody in the chat room. Dr. Mom just got her Echo, so I'm curious about that.
Okay, so. So but you.
By the way, if you said order me some pens, and you get Depends in the mail, that would be bad. So how accurate it is important too.
It depends on your. They're still working on that. But here's the thing: the reason why I bring that up is because this is all part of a larger thing where these companies are all trying to build services where you're connected at all times. I have an Xbox in my living room. If I say, "Hey Xbox, pull up the latest Stephen Colbert," it goes and gets it. And it's not that Apple's trying to build a watch because they want to build a watch. It's they're trying to build a service that you can connect its service.
A gateway.
With.
They're building a gateway.
They're at a disadvantage though. Even Microsoft and certainly Google have more information about us. Google just added more cards to Google Now.
Yes, but if you're a Mac user, they know where you go. They know who you're friends with. If
you're totally in the iOS and Apple space,
yes,
they don't need. I think if you look again back at the numbers that we started with, this $18 billion in profit, they don't need the whole world.
Right.
They need a strong enough segment that's all into their system.
Right.
That 70 billion in iPhone sales becomes part of this contextual voice-driven world that Nick's talking about, and that's good enough. They don't need 7 billion customers.
Right.
They might need just 1 billion. Just a paltry 1 billion.
They're a high-margin company with expensive stuff.
I think really what's happening right now is that the Baratunde is admitting that I'm right.
I mean, I think there sometimes you have these historic events that happen. We put a man on the moon, right? And that was like a major moment, and we're like, oh, look what we are capable of. And then sometimes Nick Bilton is right, and so I will acknowledge that.
Is it because Nick Bilton looks like he's behind an Instagram filter right now that he's right? Is that it?
I'm moving.
Yeah, he's got doesn't he? It out right now.
He actually looks like. I think that's the Hefe. You got the Hefe filter on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or he had that.
I actually like the other look.
The other look was more witness protection kind of look as well. That's silhouetted, like I've done something that I don't.
People are complaining in the chat room that I'm not that my camera's moving. So now I can move, and my camera will stay still.
Wow.
Just changing the game.
Wow.
But we're on both sides.
And you thought you would be watching the Super Bowl this time of day, huh?
This is the pregame.
Aren't you glad you're here?
Pregame show.
How many nerds are here that are actually like not watching the Super Bowl?
Nobody who watches Twit cares or listens to Twit cares about the Super Bowl in the least.
Got it. So it's pretty much.
They call it hand egg. They don't understand the rules. They think it's the Miami Heat that's playing. They don't know. So
that would be kind of fun if they just put a basketball team out there instead. Just one side is a basketball team and the other playing football.
They call it sport ball. They don't care.
See who wins that contest.
Our show today brought to you by Audible.com. Is this one you use also, Baratunde? Yes, it is.
I love Audible so very much. Let me let you do your read, and then we can jump in on the praise.
Audible.com. Go get some more Woodford Reserve. Audible.com is the place to get audiobooks. 150,000 titles. I think it's even more than that now. It's always growing. Every new book comes out. When Nick puts out a book, you know it's on Audible. In fact, Hatching Twitter, it's on Audible. In fact, I think all of Nick's books are on Audible. It is
Hatching Twitter is the best because it's read by a guy who was an actor on The Walking Dead. And
Daniel May. Yeah.
He reads the voices very carefully.
It comes to life. That's what's so great. And I can't wait to hear the Silk Road book on Audible.com.
Maybe I'll have the Breaking Bad guy read it.
Oh, that'd be good. I'm the one who knocks. There are so many great books on Audible, and not just business books and stories about the technology industry. There's fiction of all kinds as well, classics. You know, look at Jack London, White Fang. What a great book to listen to with the kids. A great book for everybody. The kids will get into it, and it just comes to life. If you've got a long car trip coming out, if you've got a long commute, Audible is a lifesaver.
What are you listening to right now, Leo?
I am listening to, and it's a long book, so I've been listening to 3 or 4 books at the same time, but I'm listening to a book, the definitive biography of the Beatles, which is called Tune In. Book 1 is out, 40 hours for the first book, and it doesn't even get them up to the record.
That's just reading the song lyrics. Then they start talking about their lives.
Incredible. I've read every book about the Beatles. I'm a huge fan. And this book just is incredible, the detail, what I'm learning from it that I'd never read anywhere before. So that's great. Let's see. What I like to do is alternate fiction and nonfiction. So the next book is going to be, let's see, a Peter F. Hamilton book. He's my favorite science fiction author. He does very long, great trilogies, and he's got a new book that just came out, beginning a new trilogy, and I'm looking for the name of it here.
You guys actually, Twit's been a good source of audio.
We have great recommendations.
I followed up on the Scott Sigler recommendations.
Yes.
And read that whole series. I wasn't so much into the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot one that you know.
I liked it a lot, and then it fell apart at the end.
Yeah,
because it turned out it was the Postal Service.
I actually thought.
Don't give away the end.
Thought I had missed something from the story.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
All of a sudden, it's a mailman, and I'm like, what?
I thought it was really good.
Are you serious, Nick?
I thought it was. Look, I spoke to the guy. I interviewed him. He was really nice.
You're talking Whiskey Tango Foxtrot?
Yeah. I interviewed the author. He spent 7 years in his basement writing it. And nice guy. And he decided that he wanted the ending to be this thing. I'm not going to say what it was, but he wanted the ending to be what it was because he wanted people to be able to decide for themselves. And I think it was like a pretty big gamble to do that. And,
it was.
Yeah,
it's a great book about surveillance, about
the themes are super strong in the book, and I don't want this to turn into like let's crap on this book thing more.
No. I really enjoyed it, but I agree it had some structural issues.
You know what else was really good? Is that I just read is All the Light We Cannot See.
Haven't heard
was
that one.
Stunning. I mean, stunningly.
Anthony Doerr.
Yeah. All right. I'll put it in my queue based on
and this is what I do. Now, if you're an Audible subscriber, you go to your wish, you just add a book to your wish list, so you always have books to listen to. This is fiction?
It's fiction, yeah. It's set in during the World War.
Yeah.
And it's 2 main characters. It's a young blind girl and who lives in France, and a boy who lives in Germany who falls in love with radios, and it's a really, really fascinating book.
Can't wait.
Beautifully written.
There's so much great stuff on here, and that's one of the reasons why we like in the ad to talk about what we're listening to, because it helps you.
The hardest part about Audible is you only get you only get these credits, and you're like, oh my God, which book do I pick?
I know.
I'm so stressed. What do I get? Should I get this one, or should I get that one? And because there's so many great books.
I have the opposite problem, which is I have a collection. It's like Instapaper, where I just like
I know
put things
I'm behind,
in the queue, and I feel really good. I'm like, yes, I just got an audiobook.
I'm behind,
but then I have to commit 50 hours, to actually digesting it.
You need a longer commute, Mr. Baratunde Thurston.
Yeah,
you need to live in L.A.
I've grown up in an environment where I can like walk in and bike to work.
Or go to the gym.
I don't do gyms. I'm not a gym
it's
guy.
Great on the treadmill. The Abyss is the one I was talking about. The Abyss Beyond Dreams is the new Peter F. Hamilton. There's so many great books. And yeah, I'm really behind. I just got this. My dad recommended it, The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. It's by Jonathan Haidt, who's a social psychologist. And it sounds like a great book about why we are so polarized these days. Politically.
Because you're stupid, Leo. That's why, because you're stupid.
Yeah, that's why. So I guess I won't have to read that now. Yeah. So anyway, go to Audible. Here, you know what? We got 2 books for you. So it's not as big a deal as it could be. We're going to get you 2 books. Audible.com/twit2. You'll be signing up for the Platinum Plan. That's 2 free audiobooks to try out, 2 new books or 2 book credits every single month. You also get the daily New York Times or Wall Street Journal digest to listen to. That's the plan I have. I love, but it's up to you. Give it a try. You don't pay anything for the first 30 days. Those books are yours to keep. You cancel, and you owe them nothing. It really is great. I love it. Audible.com/twit and the number 2. Sign up today. Audible.com/twit and the number 2. And boy, there are so many good books. I was just looking through my library, all the books I haven't gotten around to yet.
Yeah, that's intimidating and exciting. Like when I have a big, super long flight or something. Yeah. I don't know, Leo, how do you, maybe both of you guys, what I find is for me with audio, I'm either in podcast mode or I'm in book mode.
Yeah.
Between the two. So
it's hard
if
to
I'm
do
listening
both.
to a book, I don't want to interrupt that with, like other weekly or daily shows, because it kind of throws off the narrative. I want one audio tonight. Yeah.
Baratunde, it sounds like you were big into Serial.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I read all the stuff that came after it, and I listened, to the full series.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did he do it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's no question, right?
I think he did it.
Thank you very much. Because everyone's like, no, Jay did it. And here's the thing. I have one little thing. One thing. Everyone says that Jay did it. There was in the 30 hours that she interviewed Adnan, he never once said, "Hey, do you think Jay did it?" Because he did it. Adnan did it.
So there's nothing more exciting in a podcast than to talk about another podcast that you haven't listened to and debate the ending of it. So let's end this right here. I have not listened because I'm just jealous.
You think Leo did?
I have been podcasting for 10 freaking years.
I'll tell you something, Leo, though. Here's the thing. When I first started listening to it, I was like, this is fantastic. This is great storytelling. The more I listened to it, the more I realized it was some weird line between journalism and entertainment, and it was unfair to the family in my eyes, and I don't think it was handled very well towards the end. I think it got so much hype that it kind of it didn't take into account that there were human beings that were being talked about and analyzed and so on. I know we just did that. Baratunde and I just did that, but I will not listen to the next one.
Good.
I can say that definitively.
Good.
Because I think that it was an exploration down a line of a new form of storytelling.
I think that was what's really interesting about it.
I don't think it worked.
I think the internet cultural side of this was maybe even to add on to this and be interesting for the This Week in Tech part is the way parts of the tech community, specifically Reddit, jumped on this and in a way that was pretty irresponsible. Not everybody who engaged on Reddit was irresponsible, but I think it created a forum and an excuse for people who heard this story and thought, because of the way that the internet and technology makes you think about problem solving, I just need more data and I can solve this, right? I can fix this. Like this is a bug in the system, and I'm going to debug this case, and I'm going to go find Jay at his home, and I'm going to go look up his records.
Yeah, they went to his house.
Harassing one of the folks in the
that's terrible.
I mean, this is 20 years later, and these people they're
gone to his house.
Has kind of moved on, and so part of the unintended consequence, and I'm sure it was truly unintended, but because they didn't expect it to be as popular as it was, but when you assume things are going to be public and could become very popular, the level of ethics and responsibility to me get even more interesting. And when internet communities decide to try to play detective at Digital Private Eye and start harassing people and making phone calls and sitting outside of people's houses, that's like you've unleashed another undesirable thing in society, and there's a little bit of responsibility.
You know what else?
Ugliness associated with that.
You know what else was released in society that was irresponsible and ugly?
Quit.
No.
What's the segue?
Jerome Juret.
It wasn't irresponsible and ugly. That was a great column.
Oh, yeah. No, it's interesting, actually. Here's Jerome Juret. He is a he's a French guy, right? Who came to the United States penniless. And this was the Vine that really why am I not getting audio? Is there something about Vine I need to do?
Hit the click in the upper left corner of
left corner. There we go.
Why is everybody afraid of love? Love! Why is everybody
Okay,
afraid
it's kind of
of
funny.
love?
But the problem with Vine is they're 6 seconds long. And yet this guy has apparently become a compelling figure in Vine and now Snapchat with his little mini things.
So this was my column this week.
I know, that's why I'm talking to you about it.
No, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about.
Tell me
the
a
guy.
little bit about it. Tell me.
So
Obsessed.
it was really interesting because I met with him in New York a couple of weeks ago, and really, really sweet guy, really nice guy, and I found out that his story is pretty fascinating, which is I tell in the column. But he came to New York via dropped out of school in France and so on. He showed up. He took an overnight bus from Toronto. Showed up with $400 in his pocket, no place to live, no job, no anything. But he had a Vine account and a front-facing camera on his smartphone, and went from literally for about a year living off like other people's leftovers and sleeping on a floor in an office that no one knew about, to being offered, to having 1 billion views, literally 1 billion views on his Vine videos, to being offered $1 million to mention a product on his social networks.
You talk about taking a walk through around New York through Union Square with him.
Yeah,
and you said he was stopped every few feet by screaming teenagers who begged to take a selfie. Some girls were brought to tears. Others proclaimed they couldn't breathe at the mere sight of him. During one loop around the park, he was stopped more than 50 times.
Yeah, it was insane. It was. I mean, the best analogy is the Beatles. He was every few feet, like there were just this gaggle of teens that would run up with their cell phones and like scream and cry and hug him and tell him how much they loved him and everything. And it was pretty fascinating. And the other thing that happened was, he mentioned me on Snapchat, and he said go and follow this guy Nick Bilton on Snapchat. His username is Nick Bilton, and I literally got 100,000 messages over 24 hours after that from him on Snapchat. 100,000. I mean, just insane.
Robert De Niro recorded a Vine video with Jarre during the Tribeca Film Festival. It got so much attention, he's providing office space for a new show, a Snapchat show. First of all, sometimes I feel like I don't understand the world.
So this is
what's going on? Explain to me. You guys are young and hip.
Leo, take a deep breath.
Okay.
It's just the future's happening. That's it. It's okay. It doesn't have to hurt.
On Friday, he challenged people watching the Snapchat show to stop trying to take perfect selfies online, to post ugly selfies instead. By the end of the weekend, 2 days, 120,000 ugly selfies tagged with his name or the hashtag ugly selfie challenge.
He was telling me the story about how when he was in Iceland and earlier last year, and he went on social media and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go to this mall, and if you want to come and take a picture with me or hang out, like meet me." And he thought maybe like 20 people would show up. Right? He's in Iceland. There's not that many people that are probably on social media there. He thought. He showed up at the mall. It's this tiny mall with one security guard. The security guard was in a panic because he thought there was a terrorist attack because there were 7,000 teens in the mall. The photos are
7,000 teens, by the way, is the definition of a terrorist attack.
Oh, my God.
That security guard was technically correct.
Oh, my God. So what is the secret?
The secret is that there's two secrets. One is he's very
cute.
funny.
He's cute.
And he's funny, right?
Okay.
The other... and Leo, while I'm explaining this, go on Google and look up Jerome Girard Iceland and try to look at the pictures. We can show some of the pictures.
Okay.
But the one thing is he's very funny and he's cute. But the other thing is, because I spoke to a lot of kids that really liked him. I talked to all the kids around Union Square and everything, and they were saying he's so positive all the time, and he really is. Like, he's very positive. He never says anything negative. He's always smiling and laughing. And I think that the internet is such a revolting place a lot of the times with people on comments and so on saying really mean things. And I think that they have this opportunity to see somebody who's
so
being
he's
really nice.
Sweet.
Yeah,
is what makes people excited about it.
And he gives them, he's nice to them. He responds to them. It's really fascinating.
So I'm trying to find, I found pictures of him in an ice cave, but I guess it is Iceland, right?
There's some YouTube videos of like mobbed in Iceland.
Here's the one on Facebook. This is so he's with
No,
another
that's-
guy. That's another one.
Nash left. Go back
Yeah.
and just click on click on images.
I don't know how to use Google. Hold on, wait a minute. Something strange has happened.
Oh my god.
So what should I do on the Google? Do I type?
See, Nick, this is what happens when we're not in the studio.
Do I type? Okay, Jerome.
Can I put it in the chat room?
Arre Iceland, right? That should be enough. Maybe I should add mall.
Do images. Do images.
Image search. Really? Then I'm going to get a lot of weird pictures.
Hold on. I'm going to get it for you. Give me 2 seconds.
Here he is in the mall in Iceland. This is a YouTube video. View image, view page. View.
Uh-huh.
You know, the internet doesn't work all that well.
No, it doesn't. Google sucks.
So somebody in the chat room said this is a good term. I think we live in the age of micro-celebrity.
Well, he's more than a micro-celebrity.
Well, he's a celebrity from
But
a
next
micro
year, will anybody know the
platform.
name? I've already forgot his name. Jerome Jure?
Jerome Jara.
Jura.
We certainly have the ability for someone to catapult, into very well known, without having agents and like handlers.
Look at this. This is this is like a vlogger in Iceland. They're all. We think he's around here. Where is he? Oh my
Looks
God!
like Black Mirror.
This is insane.
So here's the thing that's insane, right? Is that he's in there somewhere. He looks like Where's Waldo. But the thing that's insane is I've seen pictures of this mall beforehand. There's like 3 people in there
It's
on the
Iceland.
busy
it's not
day.
a heavy population.
And this happened. They had to call the riot police to because people were
start
getting
a riot.
But
injured.
I got to tell you, every one of these girls came because they didn't expect a lot of girls. They thought it'd be me and Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's what happened to Baratunde recently in front of my house.
And it was just you and Baratunde in this case. But,
Yeah, that was actually the case.
okay, so it's not micro. You're saying this is true celebrity?
This is
What is true celebrity? I don't know if that even.
Well, this is bigger than true celebrity because these are impassioned fans. Like Jimmy Fallon could go on and say, go take a picture of an ugly selfie. I don't think he would get as much of a response as Jerome did, because
And yet I've never, and I would guess most people have never heard of him.
You see that just like someone just ran by and it's like,
Oh, it's crazy.
How is this? Do you think this is really that? Like the length of his fame has always been fleeting. I mean, that's one-hit wonders,
Right.
Based on that whole
Right.
premise. You had a great
So
song.
that's
and
no
then
way to
forgot
judge it.
about
I
you.
agree.
And most
But
people,
usually in the past,
generationally, parents never know what their teens are into.
Are his Vine videos like great art? I mean, are they really? Is there something wonderful about his Vine videos?
they're hilarious.
Okay.
I mean, they are. If you go through them, like they're very, very funny.
So he's a
and they're
talented
creative.
guy.
And it's not just here's what the thing that he does that I think is different. He makes the fans feel like they are not fans, but they're a part of the thing he's doing. So
Right.
one day he said, let's go break a world record on Snapchat. I'm going to take a picture on Snapchat. You take a screenshot of it, and we're going to break the world record for most number of screenshots. And it was like they got like 300,000. It was some insane number of screenshots on Snapchat. And then he's like, we together did that. And so you go to some of the kids that really love him, you go to their Twitter page and they're like, I'm part of the world record with Jerome for the most number of Snapchats on, and it's like they all feel like they're a part of this movement.
Do you
almost.
think he's super smart and he's figured this out, or he just kind of tumbled upon something?
I think that he is super smart at short form video.
Let's watch. Here's some Jerome Jure. This is a compilation of his Vines. Here's some Jerome Jure. He's looking at a baby. He's making a face at the baby. The baby's making a face back. Here he is dancing in a security monitor. Wait a minute. There's no one there. Oh, I get it.
So bored today.
I'm so bored today.
Oh my God.
Feel much better.
Hey, Jerome, try this chocolate. Okay.
So the Beatles,
I don't know why.
Don't be so serious.
40 years later, still
be
are
so
played. You think these Vine videos will be played 40 years later and admired?
In the Museum of Internet
Will the
Culture,
French
they
give
will.
him a Medal of Honor?
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that they'll be played 40 years later. I think that
This is of the moment, isn't it?
Look, my sorry, not to be rude and cut you off too much, Nick. I just think I think the timing of this is important. This is a brand new platform, so no one knows what to expect. It's not like this is not a screenplay. This is not a 4-minute song.
Right.
This is not a novel. You don't even know what this is. What is Snapchat? That just got made. That's a made up thing. Vine is a made up thing.
What's on his Snapchat channel? What is he doing?
He does these he started the show, and the show it's part him like doing these kinds of things, just goofing around with people in the street. It's part like a motivational talk, and it's part like a celebrity guest. And so
you know what I find interesting is that this you could say this is what Vine was made for, but you sure can't say that's what Snapchat was made for.
No, and that that's the thing that I have learned very recently is Snapchat stories is I think one of the next big things.
Yeah, they're Snapchat celebrities big time.
It's fun and broken at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
I've started playing with it more, basically because Nick won't shut up about it.
But what should I do with it? I mean, besides sharing pictures of my butt with my girlfriend or my wife now, what else?
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
That was sweet, right?
I got married a couple of days ago, and you don't have to.
Wait, are we breaking this? Is this the first twit that this is known?
No, it was on the internet.
It was
the first twit. Did you see
I already had. I've been mobbed at a mall already. This is nothing.
This is nothing. Yeah, congratulations.
This is nothing.
It's just nothing. I've done this before.
I've done this before many times. No, Lisa and I got married finally, which
Congrats.
Yeah, we're very happy. Very, very
happy.
Hey. So, but getting back to the topic of the hour.
Yes, Snapchat stories and like
what should I do with Snapchat? If I were going to be capitalizing, why are you telling Baratunde to use Snapchat?
Okay, so the reason
Snapatunde, by the way, on Snapchat.
Snapatunde? Is that really?
Is that?
Wow.
And I'm Nick Bilton, all one word. So what I've been doing is I do like a daily. Sometimes I do like a daily product review. So I reviewed the other day. I reviewed these fun little cameras that attach to the top of your iPhone.
How long can the Snapchat be?
So each clip can be 10 seconds. You don't really want to. You don't want to go that long.
Wait for it. Each clip can be 10 seconds. And you string them
together.
They're
in succession. Like so, one of the best people on Snapchat stories. Jerome's really good. There's this guy Dino Fonte who's really good. He does what's called commute cast, where he like literally does his commute. The other person that's amazing is Casey Neistat. I'm trying to see if I have Casey on here.
And also now this news does.
Can I see this on the web, or is there no web interface for Snapchat?
No web. There's no web interface. That's Shondoris. Here's Shondoris. I'm going to play him. So
now, is this going to self-destruct after you watch it?
Yeah.
Well, so you can only watch it once.
Stories you can rewatch. The rules are odd if you're not familiar with them. You can replay.
He fell down on a skateboard.
Alive in the
Here's the thing. So there's a couple of things here. One is, if I let go of my finger, I'm no longer watching.
Right.
The engagement on here there's nothing that is as engaging. There's nothing.
Because you have to hold your finger to it.
So that's the
one
thing.
We live in a nation of freaking idiots. This is the end of the world, ladies and gentlemen.
You can't text.
Mike Judge was right. Idiocracy has now happened. I'm going home. It's engaged because you have to hold your finger to it.
Here's the thing.
Leo, why does that make you so incredulous? Because instead of being on 2 laptops and reading a book,
it's engaging.
Those on it
because I can't watch it unless I touch it.
Okay, but here's the thing. Two things. First of all, okay, I know we kind of like diss all this social media stuff, and there's times I get super frustrated with it. And everyone's like, "Well, I wanted a flying car, and all I got was Facebook." Okay, imagine for a second that none of this stuff existed, that we weren't talking on this thing, and that we were all standing in a field somewhere, and we're a bunch of idiots, and someone comes along and they're like, "You see that thing over there? That car can fly. You can have that, or here's this thing. It's a smartphone. You can connect to anyone in the world instantly, millions and millions of people. I'm going for this."
Yeah. No, I agree.
Right?
The smartphone is an amazing thing. I agree.
Yeah, and I think that we kind of underestimate the power of these things. And one of the things that I've learned with Snapchat stories specifically, because there are so many kids on there and they're not rude and they're not mean. Like if I go on Twitter, it's just dribble of people being like, "I'm smarter than you and you're an idiot and your article is an idiot and Baratunde is an idiot." Just kidding, Baratunde.
But to their credit, they're right about all 3 of those things.
So you're saying Snapchat succeeds because Twitter is so god awful?
No, I'm saying Snapchat succeeds because it goes away, and I'm saying, and I will go on there and be an idiot and have fun and just goof off and make these fun little videos that are essentially stories.
Failure is super low, and the thing that I can attest to. I just did a show at a high school recently, a comedy show at a high school, and the kids there, that's all they do. They're on Facebook out of a sense of obligation.
Yeah.
but they're not active in any meaningful way there because Facebook equals drama.
Right.
Facebook equals somebody liking or not liking. That stuff sits there forever. Teachers can eventually find it, if you don't protect these settings in the right way. When the performance piece disappears, it liberates you a little bit. It's why people do open mics in the performing world. It's why there's like residency programs for artists to just kind of get experimental. So that low bar, that low burden of history, a system that doesn't impose history on its users gives them a level of freedom to be something that they're not allowed to be in a more publicly performative and like historical setting. I sound like an academic, but I think that all hopefully made sense. That especially when you're a kid and you're changing and you're messing around and your words can be twisted to mean something that they don't really mean. This is a relatively much safer environment for that level of performance.
And it's not even like, it's not even being afraid that things will come out there. It's just being real. It's like having fun. It's, I don't know.
Does it help that also adults, especially parents, don't understand it at all?
It probably helps.
For now. And then once you're parents and you're,
then they'll move on.
I think that
you don't use Facebook because grandma's there.
Right.
You don't use Twitter because, I don't know, but there's a lot of reasons. But I noticed, by the way, my son's 22. Snapchat's it. It's everything. Yeah.
I think that I think that part of it is that you get to just get to do whatever you want without worrying about the consequences. There's no one that's going to come in and say, leave a nasty comment that everyone else is going to jump on.
There's no comments on Snapchat.
There are no comments.
And it's not just, I think the structure of it, this part just hit me too. Like Instagram, but even simpler. It's all image. Yeah. There's like the internet that we came up on.
Look at the brands here. These are the brands on Snapchat.
But the internet that we came up on was a text network.
Right.
We were using Unix and
very
Linux
different
browsers.
Very different.
It was premised on sharing academic papers.
Right.
So we have a text internet. What's happening?
What the hell's going on?
Nick's dog is yelling at.
Oh, Nick's dog is tripping.
Another dog that's minding its own business.
But is it completely stupid that the brands are on here? Like if I go to the Discover page, CNN, Comedy Channel, Cosmopolitan, Daily Mail, ESPN.
Those are horrible.
They're all horrible.
Yeah. And what Snapchat is offering to those companies is BS. It doesn't feel like it's part of the experience. It feels like I'm just in a branded entertainment YouTube channel.
So how do I find?
It has nothing to do with Snapchat.
So go up there and click Add Friend.
Okay.
And then type in Add Username.
Okay. And I should add
Nick Bilton.
Okay, everybody at home should be doing this as well.
This is acquisition strategy.
Okay.
Bilton.
Okay. Add somebody. There we go. Plus him.
There you go.
Okay. And Baratunde is
Snapatunde.
Snapatunde. I think that's too clever. I think you're being too clever, Snapatunde. There you go. That's you, Snapatunde.
So now what's going to happen is now go out of here. Hit the UI is ridiculously stupid.
That's one thing I have noticed. Now, is this me, Leo Laporte 67? That's me.
Your name is Leo Laporte. Yeah, no.
I should probably give myself a snap picture.
You're just Leo Laporte.
I'm just Leo Laporte. That's me.
So click on the bottom, that little arrow pointing up. So now if you click over to the right, those three little things on the bottom right.
Yeah, the hamburger menu, we call that in the business.
The hamburger menu.
Yes.
So this
I got no stories.
You got no stories. Pull down. They were having some problems earlier. So.
Oh, look, here's a Snapatunde. Are you, wait a minute. Are you Snapchatting while we're doing the show?
No, that's my story.
They last for 24 hours.
If you hold your finger down on my name.
First thing to know, these last for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So then they're gone forever.
Correct.
Yeah. You can play them as many times as you like.
So I'm now engaged with art. Is it playing?
If you want to skip that, hit with your right thumb to skip.
You're seeing basically a slideshow, Leo.
Hit with my right thumb.
It'll jump through quicker.
Oh. Okay. That was one story.
That's his story. So this afternoon, Baratunde and I are going to do a Snap story on my account where he's going to teach me how to do stand-up comedy. So if you come back this afternoon, you'll be able to watch that. It'll be really fun.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so the naked selfies, that we don't do that anymore?
It's less about messaging.
It's not about messaging. Isn't that funny?
I'm not saying
you saw this happen with Twitter, Nick, when you were writing Hatching Twitter. Part of the evolution was it wasn't anything like they thought it would be.
No, nothing.
And Snapchat's even more so.
Snapchat was, when I first wrote about Snapchat, Evan Spiegel, the founder, was still in school, and it was essentially being used by kids to send pictures that they shouldn't send,
Right.
and it just kind of exploded from there, and then it became about ephemeral messaging, and then ephemeral content, and now that's what it's about. It's all about content. It's about it's about messaging too, but the messaging I think is secondary to the ability to broadcast.
It's also all about that bass. So that's
Boom, boom, boom. We're going to take a break. Baratunde, love having Baratunde Thurston on the show. He's cultivatedwit.com, at Baratunde on the Twitter, and Snapatunde on Snapchat. I'm not going to have to start giving out, what is the symbol that you put before a Snapchat handle?
little ghost.
A little ghost?
People just, if you're in text line, just SC :
SC.
But if you want an icon,
I bet we have an emoji, a ghost emoji somewhere in there, don't we?
there is a ghost emoji, the white ghost with the black eye, and then emoji.
And Nick Bilton's also here from the New York Times. Hatching Twitter is his latest book, but he's got a new one coming out later this year on the incredible story of Ross Ulbricht and the Silk Road. It's more a Ross Ulbricht story than Silk Road? Probably.
No, it's Silk Road. It's
Silk Road.
It's from the perspective of the folks that were working at the Silk Road, the FBI, the DEA, all the different government agencies.
You're going to take a trip down Bitcoin Lane as well?
Yeah, a very short trip down Bitcoin Lane. I don't want to bore readers with there's some really great books that are coming out on Bitcoin, and we're going to do a much better job than I could of explaining the monetary side of all this. So I'm going to stick to the fun and the drama.
Very interesting. Let's take a break, come back with more. There's actually normal tech news, but I think this stuff is fascinating. I really do. And when we can get Nick and Baratunde on, I like to talk about this cultural stuff because they really have their fingers on
we always end up back there. It's never
you do, but you guys are cultural ambassadors you've come to us from the future.
I really like that idea, man.
I think it's true.
It's kind of
cultural ambassadors.
No, I think you are. And since I don't know any young people, you're just going to have to do.
We're barely it. That's amazing.
We're the closest thing to it.
But young people can't articulate it. See, this is the issue. They're in it. They're like, it's like asking a fish about water. Tell me about water. What do you mean? I'm in it. It's water. I don't even know what that is. So you got to get somebody who's out of the water, but can look in and can swim with the fish, but then get out and tell us about it.
So
and that's what you guys do.
Themselves. That's just what we're
doing. Yeah. You need context, and you're giving us context. So thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah,
thank you.
Appreciate it. Oh, shut up.
Send us some new
so
selfies.
Phony.
That was sincere.
No, that wasn't.
I know.
Sincere.
I'm being sincere back.
What?
Send us
Really?
some new selfies.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'll send you naked selfies. So wait a minute. Now wait, but just before we take a break.
Now my Snapchat's going to be filled with nude selfies.
How do I know that I'm sent? When is it a story? When is it a private image?
So go back. Do you want to pull back?
I'm going to be that guy who thinks he's DMing his weenus, and instead I'm sending it to everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, well, so pull your phone back up, and we'll show you real quick.
Okay.
I hope for those listening on Tuesday afternoon in the rain on your drive home, who have no visual reference for this, apologies. Let's just say that when you're actually in the app, it will make sense.
Now.
Right now, it's just a picture of the ceiling. So
take a picture of yourself.
Okay.
Press the button.
Tap the button. Don't hold it down. Just tap it. Great.
Okay.
Snapchat wants to use my location. I should say okay because
fine.
God knows the NSA already knows. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Swipe for filters.
Okay, so you can swipe. Yeah, there you go. See. Okay, now let's just leave that the black and white one. Okay, so go back one.
Okay.
Okay. So now put your thumb on the screen.
Yeah.
Just tap on the screen.
Yeah.
Just tap once. Tap.
Oh, look, a keyboard.
Now you can type. So type.
Okay.
Whatever.
Learning to swim. Okay.
All right. Now
this is like a webinar. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is so galvanizing.
Hit return on the bottom.
Hit return. Okay.
Okay. So now press the T again up in the top.
Can I move that text down? Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, but no, it gets better. Hit the T.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
See
look.
how the text. Now use both fingers and you can stretch it and move it around. Whoa! See that?
Oh, this is very modern.
Okay. So now we're gonna keep that. So if you hit the third button over, which is the little plus sign, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. If you hit that, it gets saved to your story, and that means everyone that follows you can see it.
That's a story.
That's a story. If you go to the right and you hit the arrow button to the right,
that's just I would send it to an individual.
Correct.
Okay. So story individual. Okay.
So send it to do this.
This is the crappiest user interface ever.
Oh, it's awful. It's
completely non-discoverable. But you know what? That may be part of this charm too, because you have to get somebody to show you this. You can't learn this on your own.
Well, yeah, I think that, and I think that's part of it. Is like is a lot of kids feel like it's almost like the secret menu at In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah,
like they know
It's encrypted against the old.
Yeah, or me, or both. Okay, so plus
sign.
Okay,
and there you go.
I've added a story.
Yeah.
Now that's only available for 24 hours. So if you're listening in the rain on Tuesday, it's gone.
But you'll have a new story by Tuesday.
By Tuesday, you're going to see.
Story.
I'm going to be prolific on Snapchat. Is there any way to monetize this? No.
Yes.
Oh.
Jerome Jarre was offered $1 billion, not $1 billion.
$1 million. So
$1 million to advertise on his Snapchat channel.
1 million. And what does he have to do? Hold a Pepsi?
No, there was a food product. He didn't do it. He said no.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Because who needs $1 million, really, when you've got Snapchat and 7,000 teenage girl fans at a mall in Finland, Iceland, somewhere.
Iceland.
All right.
Yeah, no, that monetization is not for the masses.
Don't monetize. Don't monetize.
It's for the celebrities.
People who monetize should never monetize. Don't monetize. It just ruins things.
It's stupid.
It's just stupid. Monetize. By the way, our show today brought to you by Personal Capital. It's a new year, and it's time to start investing smarter. Personal Capital has an easy way for you to do it. When you get that $1 million for your brilliant Snapchat, you got to go to Personal Capital. For every $100,000 you deposit, you'll get $100, up to $10,000. Put $1 million in, you got $1,000 free. It's a win-win. You get cash in your account and personalized investment advice from their registered investment advisors. Schedule your free one-on-one investment consultation today. Now, do it now because I don't, this is something new. With their award-winning financial app, you can monitor your income, spending, performance of your investments in real time. One easy-to-read screen. You've heard us talk about this. It's great for budgeting, for finding out if you're overspending on your mutual fund or 401k fees or other brokerage fees that could just really shave years off your retirement. All of this is free. They'll technically pay you when you deposit money in your Personal Capital account. Personal Capital gives you total clarity and transparency to make better financial decisions and manage your portfolio like a pro. So why wait? Now's the time to invest smarter and open a Personal Capital account. Make taking control of your financial future one of your resolutions for 2015. Go to Personal Capital, set up your free account. Free, did I say free? I want to underscore that, free. And for a limited time, if you qualify, Personal Capital will give you $100 for every $100,000 you deposit, up to $10,000. Personalcapital.com/twit. Personalcapital.com/twit. And we thank Personal Capital for their support of This Week in Tech. So just so you understand, the information is always free. And if you decide you want to use them as investment advisors, and you put money in an account, and that's when the money shows up. I think I'm explaining that correctly.
That makes sense.
Back to Snapchat College with Nick Bilton, Baratunde, Thurston.
Nick fell into his smartphone, so I'm here solo for a few moments.
Oh, and, poor Pixel. Is it Pixel again?
No, Pixel's fine. I think he's feeding his dog.
Okay.
They gotta eat.
Eat.
So what are we using to bring the show home, Leo?
Home. Well, we got a long way to go.
We do?
No. We'll make this quick.
Super Bowl show?
We had Google results. Okay. They missed their expectations. A mere as we mentioned, $14.5 billion in revenue. Ad growth slowing. It's so interesting to see a company like Google, 12 years old, and they're already superannuated. The world has moved on. We live in amazing times. Just incredible.
What did I miss?
Google's results, we're just saying, here's a company that was, inventing the future, and suddenly, boom, they're old school. They're out the door.
I mean, I think that's probably what's the word? Wrong.
Oh.
I don't think they're not over, right? They're making $14.5 billion. In total revenue, which is still, they're a major company. They're investing in space. So they plan to be around with us.
But ad revenue the growth in ad revenue is slowing. I mean,
does make
it's
sense.
an old model.
People shift their attention, to other places where Google isn't strong. Exactly. Right. Where's Google? As you're holding your finger down for 10 minminutes a day,
right?
You are literally not looking at anything else.
Are we going to have a disease called Snapchat finger?
Snap finger? Like tech neck?
Tech neck and Snapchat finger.
So the thing is with Google is their search sucks now. Am I right?
Because they've junked it up? Why?
Well, no, maybe
Because I
the
think the
internet
people have
stuff.
figured out how to play how to work the system. It
But
doesn't work anymore.
I think it comes and goes. I mean, there certainly was a time when all you got was link farms, and then Matt Cutts and the anti-spam team did, I think, a good job of pruning that out. You think we're back to those bad old days?
I
We
think
just spent 20 minutes trying to find the picture from Iceland of
Yeah, you're right.
Jerome Jarre. It didn't show up.
Yeah.
But here's the other challenge. I think maybe it's the same things that are affecting their slowing, growth in ad revenue, right? Attention is shifting. New platforms are emerging that they have nothing or almost nothing to do with. And as the internet and the web part of it get populated with all this extra media, you're looking for, what you're looking for, Nick, when you put
Dare
that in.
I say the web is dead?
Google doesn't know what you're looking for.
Is the web in trouble?
Well, Google should know what I'm looking for.
But the sources
The
of
web
credibility
pages don't matter anymore.
Yeah, the sources of credibility that conferred that knowledge in the past were like, oh, you're clearly because the New York Times linked to it or 10,000 people blogged about a thing. Not that that's like where Google is exactly stuck, but it certainly doesn't take advantage of, on Tuesday 2 years ago, this is the super popular thing you were looking for.
Now, Facebook showed good revenue.
Disappeared now.
They figured out mobile. In fact, Facebook basically said their mobile views are now more than half of all views. Mobile revenue more than half of all. I mean, they showed good revenue. They showed good growth. But I also feel like Facebook might be kind of dead.
And then auto playing all your video ads certainly helps.
Yeah.
And like I don't actually ever engage in those things, but they're scrolling. Those video ads are playing as I'm scrolling past them.
Did you see
Somebody's
in
paying for that.
their financial report they said that they consider a video viewed if it's been viewed for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you look in the analytics and you see
What if
like
the advertisers feel that way?
bought them, it certainly doesn't feel like you've gotten what you paid for there.
You should have to hold your finger onto the Facebook. That would solve that, wouldn't it?
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we're in a copycat world, like view source and then paste.
I know.
And so people will start to replicate that because they think that that's the secret sauce.
What's going on with
everything
cyanogen? I like cyanogen ROM. In fact, I bought a 1+1 because I love cyanogen. 1+1's taken the branding off. They've announced they're going to have their own operating system, O2, coming out sometime this, they're going to announce more on February 12th. We don't know when it's going to come out. And Microsoft announces it's making an investment in cyanogen. What?
It's a crazy. No, can you verify my understanding? Cyanogen was initially making jailbroken versions for iPhone way back in the day, right? Didn't they have a mod for iPhone when you jailbroke your iPhone, you could load their OS?
No, I think you're confusing that with Cydia.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
So cyanogen is. I first experienced it when you would take a Samsung, let's say Galaxy S2, and you really don't want the touch whiz, so you root it. You put a new recovery system on it, and then you can install your own ROMs. And cyanogen was always one of the best. They took Android.
Yeah, sorry, Android. No, I used iPhone. No, it wasn't Android.
It's for Android. Yeah, you're right then. If you say Android.
I modded my Android way back in the day.
So you root your Android and you put a different ROM on it. You get rid of TouchWiz. And Cyanogen did something that was quasi not right, but they would make it based on AOSP, the open source. But then nobody really wants just AOSP Android. They want all the Google services and Google apps. So they do a side load of all of that, which will put the Play Store and Play services on there. And now it's a better Android phone. In fact, this was kind of the end game on it, was putting it on a legitimate handset. In fact, Cyanogen on a 1+1 is great. Except I don't know where Cyanogen is going. Their new CEO said we're going to kill Android. They want to be the new Android. They say Google is not a good steward of Android, and they've taken, but then they take money. Sorry, didn't mean to mention Google. My phone woke up. And then they take money from Microsoft. Any thoughts on that? That's probably not in your...
No, I mean, look, my only thought, I think it's good. I think, having one company run the operating systems on, half the phones being sold.
Yeah. No, I'm rooting for Cyanogen.
Get it? Rooting?
Rooting.
That was good.
I'm rooting.
Intended.
However, I'm not rooting for Microsoft Cyanogen.
Why not?
Actually, Microsoft's the new.
They only have 3% of the smartphone market share. They're not really.
Isn't Microsoft the new black with the HoloLens and?
Yeah, that actually, if you want to talk HoloLens for 1 second, that reminded me so much. Go way back to the book Demon and Freedom.
Yeah.
those D-Space
too.
glasses. I was like, oh, it's happening.
Oh, look at the little doggy.
Happening.
Is that your newest?
That's my fiance's dog.
Oh.
For the folks at home without cameras, Nick put a dog in.
I was just trying to. You guys are talking about boring stuff, so I was just trying to make it really exciting by putting a little puppy
If I
in it.
Snapchat you and your dog, does that get me more viewers?
Maybe. Phoebe, say hi.
Why is it pointed at me? How do I flip the phone around?
Why is it pointed at me? That's it. That's the answer to everything right there, Leo. That's the title of the show, I swear. Why? That is millennial. That is Snapchat. That is mobile media.
Okay, and then I add that to my stories, and now, Nick, you're part of my story. Phoebe? That's Phoebe?
It's Phoebe. It's a mini pixel.
Aw, sweet. All right, yeah, we're bored by Google. We're bored by Microsoft. I'm telling you.
Best thing to try to take Google out of its own operating system. It's like Game of Thrones.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Did you see the deflate gate thing with the football things?
Yeah.
The science behind that? Yeah.
What's the science behind Deflategate?
Well, the science is about gases, and it's about like the temperature of a room, and it's about what happens and pressure.
So there was, for those of you who don't follow sport ball, Deflategate is a controversy following, I think it was the AFC playoffs between the Colts and the Patriots, in which the Patriots are accused of underinflating footballs to make them easier to grasp and pass. Now, I don't understand exactly how this would benefit one team but not the other. Maybe, I don't know, they switched footballs.
No, the idea is that there are rules about how what the PSI of the ball.
They're supposed to be 12.5 to 13.5 pounds per square inch.
So if one team has avoided those rules and made it much easier to grip the ball, when they're playing offense, then they could, in theory, have some kind of advantage. I think that's the basic allegation.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, the Patriots game balls were reinflated at halftime.
What this really did is it gave everybody in the media over a week a chance to say
something
balls.
to talk about. Yeah, because frankly,
to be real cute for 5 days in a row.
So what's the science, though? Are they saying, it was an altitude thing, or?
So I just talked to a super Pats fanatic yesterday. I haven't dug into this myself. I'm not that into it because football's not super important to me. But
obviously, you're here right now.
Exactly. The game has probably started. But the idea is the Patriots are saying we didn't do anything wrong. This just happened, and so there's a question of
deflation happens.
Yeah, is it possible for footballs to lose pressure? I'm not going to play into the balls. I can't do the balls pun thing anymore. Is it possible for footballs to lose their pressure naturally, or do they have to be interfered with by a person who is basically trying to cheat in some way?
Didn't Bill Nye come out and say that it was nonsense, their excuse for it? Bill Nye, the science guy. Isn't that right?
No, I don't. I literally tried to filter out any information related to this story over the past week.
Okay. Well, this has been...
And that's how you kill a topic. Boom. Four-dimensional chess, y'all.
I'll show you how you kill a topic.
Whoa, where did Leo go?
Did
we lose him because we were so boring?
He went to go watch the Super Bowl, I bet. He's been lying.
We just bored Leo to death.
Well, this is weird. The studio's empty, and Nick and
What do we call this? What do we call this, bartender, when we take over the studio?
Occupy Twit.
Occupy Twit.
I just went to get a beer and a hot dog. It's all right. I'm over.
Oh, good.
No, we thought you had abandoned us. We were about to do an Occupy Twit.
People at home won't get this, but it was really spooky. Looked like you had been disappeared.
I got deflated. Sky Mall is dead.
Oh man, this is I don't know what I'm going to drool on the airplane anymore.
Well, really, you know what? According to Sky Mall, it's the smartphone that killed it.
And then how do they explain blaming the smartphone for their death?
Because now that it all started when the FAA said that you didn't have to. Apparently, the only time people were looking at Sky Mall, the catalog and the seat back of your airplane.
When the law forced them to.
When the pilot said, "Okay, now that's it. You can't use your electronics for 10 minutes." Well, let's look at Sky Mall.
Yep.
As soon as somebody could keep their electronics on, boom, the bottom falls out of Sky Mall.
So the true market for Sky Mall is I hate people, right? It's like because we could also have talked to each other.
No.
It's like, no. I need anything but the person next to me. Anything but that. And if not everybody gets a window. So Sky Mall was basically taking up space for us to avoid our fellow human beings. And then we got the internet for that in the palm of our hands.
You know, it's a shame because the very next month of Sky Mall's catalog, they were going to have flying cars.
Oh, man.
And if they hadn't gone bankrupt.
I got a lot of people telling me this was my fault.
Your fault?
Blamed.
I mean, fault is the wrong word. It's like...
You're doing?
Because I did the FAA stuff.
Oh, it's your fault. You were the one. You were the one. You rattled the cage. You said, why do we have to turn these things off? That's right.
Yeah. The FAA hated me for a while. Probably still do.
Are you on a no-fly list?
No, but I was on a no pick up the phone list.
Really?
Yeah.
So now you're bitching about the sorry state of in-flight Wi-Fi. Is this your next crusade?
It could be. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. A lot of people seem to get behind it. Have you flown lately and how sorry the internet on the plane is? It's just
pretty
ridiculous.
slow. Yeah.
And before everyone says, well, did you see that the Louis C.K. skit? Yes, it's in the article. Thank you very much.
I didn't get that far. I only read the first paragraph.
I had a couple of colleagues that like responded to my on Twitter to my column, and they were like, "You should see this Louis C.K. skit." And I was like, "Well, if you actually bothered," I responded, and I said, "If you actually bothered to read the piece, you would see that the last four paragraphs are about that."
You should have led with it.
Well, the whole point was to try to catch them in the act of tweeting without reading.
And it's part of your point, Nick, not that like, oh, yay, we live in magic. Great. But you're charging me for this.
Yeah,
so
12, 13 bucks, sometimes more.
No, it's $34. It started out as $12, $13. It's now $34.
It depends on your airline.
But isn't the problem that everybody's using it? I mean, that they didn't have that much bandwidth, but when you were the only one using it, it wasn't so bad, but now everybody's using it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You have about 70 people on a flight from the East Coast to the West Coast that will pop on and use the Wi-Fi. You're not going to – I think anyone that's using it is using it. So why screw us over with the cost of it, first of all? And second of all, there are technologies out there. There are companies that have developed technologies where you can do 100 megabits a second through satellite and so on. They do exist on certain airlines. JetBlue has it.
They are upgrading now, yes.
They are upgrading. And so it's like – why charges the air to ground stuff is 3 megabits per second?
Nick, the airlines are in the business of making money, and frankly, for a while they were about to go out of business, and so they're just grasping for every dollar they can get.
Well, here's the thing that I found out in the reporting in the column is that in Europe there are some airlines that pay for the Wi-Fi and give it to their customers for free.
Right.
It entices people to take those airlines. So why can't we have that here in America?
It's just like hotels. We overpay for Wi-Fi at hotels. It's not as crappy, but it's often not so good.
Yeah, but it's all, I mean, it's the same as...
But the difference is on an airplane, you got to put lots of heavy equipment. It uses more fuel because you've got this equipment. How much does it weigh? Do you know, the Wi-Fi boxes?
It's not that much. They're not that much.
All right.
No. It's a little
I mean, it certainly creates like you have to have tech support in your plane. Like that's an issue.
Right.
When things don't work, people get really, really angry, and they're going to harass the flight attendants who may not know. Like they have to be trained on how to answer that, if not
I
fix
think
it.
because of Nick, they're going to take Wi-Fi out of airplanes, and now we can blame him for the death of Sky Mall.
And they're going to replace Wi-Fi with the new version of Sky Mall, available on the Kindle.
We should have said, "Hey, don't shut down yet, Wi-Fi."
Well, you'll have gigabit Ethernet speeds, but only for skymall.biz. That's the only site you can go to. Really, really fast.
It's the only free one.
Drones, guys, you like drones? Are you excited about drones? Drones, the drunk guy who crashed his drone into the White House?
Yeah. Is he in trouble?
This is the drone, by the way. I love the Secret Service picture that went over the wire. What
was that one?
It's a DJI Phantom.
DJI Phantom.
That apparently is being flown by a drunken government employee at 2 in the morning.
Oh, my goodness. Where were the anti-aircraft batteries when that thing
this is the problem. These things are so small and fly so low that the radar doesn't see them. And what are you going to shoot them with? Isn't that going to be worse than the drone?
Well, it's crazy. The
water balloons.
This is really interesting because like the guy was an idiot and drunk and whatever and just having fun and screwed up. But what I keep finding that's really fascinating with technology is every time some new amazing technology comes out, we're like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever, like 3D printing. And then somebody thinks of something really bad to do with it, like make guns. And I think that you're starting to see that with drones. When we first saw it, it was like, wow, this is really amazing. And now people are coming out saying,
people, right?
But they're being used on the border to pass drugs back and forth and so on.
Oh, that's a good idea.
A great idea.
And the real concern
Everybody
is if they get
listening at
weaponized, people are worried about them weaponized. In fact, I guarantee you there at the Super Bowl, there's some serious concern about weaponized drones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, the weaponizing doesn't mean putting a bomb on it. What if you load it up with a little anthrax package?
So here's the beautiful thing to counter. I mean, every tool is a weapon as well. You know, the hammer can be used to bash someone's head in. The knife can be used to end someone's life in a second, and also carve a delicious roast, you know, on a Sunday afternoon. So we should be very
got
careful.
into that delicious. That was like
I think
heartfelt.
I'm getting hungry. But like, you know, this White House situation, like, yes, a drunk employee flew a drone over, but also a dude just jumped over the fence and then ran.
Yeah.
Well, they
through the
got
bushes
other
and then
issues.
got inside the building. Like, there's just
Thing is, they can do something about the dudes jumping over the fence. These drones are hard to. By the way, DJI's response. I think DJI and other Phantom manufacturers are totally terrified that because the president said there needs to be more regulation, and so DJI has now got a mandatory firmware update that will stop the drones from flying over Washington, D.C.
over the whole city.
They don't work.
Wait, if you're a resident of Washington, D.C. and you
don't buy a DJI.
If you're in high school in D.C. and you're part of a science project,
Nope.
your drone won't. That doesn't make any sense, Leon.
The updated firmware will be released in coming days, says DJI. It adds a no-fly zone centered on downtown Washington, D.C. for a 15.5-mile radius in all directions. Phantom pilots in this area will not be able to take off from or fly into this airspace. What? Furthermore, they're going to start programming its drones to stop flying when they get within a certain distance of airports. See, DJIs, unlike some cheaper drones, have GPS built in.
Man, is my audio sounding really wonky to you?
No, you sound marvelous.
Yeah, you sound weird to me, but maybe that's just.
Let's take a break. Baratunde is going to fix his audio. We got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Baratunde is starting to fantasize about roast beef. That's always a bad sign. Always a bad sign.
What roast beef? What?
What?
Taking a break.
If he starts looking at Pixel with, a gleam in his eye, I'd be careful. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you are sidelining hard for me, dude. That's
unplug and replug your headset while we talk about FreshBooks.com. It is cloud accounting software designed for small businesses or freelancers. A lot of us, I for years was going to Canada, doing the TV show up there, and I had to bill them every month, and I would forget. I didn't forget. I hated it. Who wants to launch Microsoft Word, type in the whole thing, print it out, lick a stamp? I would put it off, which means I wouldn't get paid for months. And then they'd complain when they got 5 invoices at the same time. FreshBooks saved my life. FreshBooks makes it easy to invoice. Beautiful, professional-looking invoices. You can have them automatically created every month if you wish. They have, when you email the invoice, a pay button your clients will love because they press that button, and you can use top credit cards, online payment systems. You, on average, will get paid 5 days faster when you use FreshBooks. That's amazing. FreshBooks integrates with your apps and services, too, like Google Apps and PayPal and Stripe and MailChimp and Funbox and Zen Payroll and on and on and on. You can work in multiple currencies, which is great for me. I was billing in U.S. and Canadian dollars for a long time. FreshBooks customers spend less time on paperwork. You free up, on average, 2 days a month to focus on the work you love. And if you've been using, a paper system or a stopwatch to bill time and hours, don't. They've got apps for Android and iOS that will do that automatically and put it right in the invoice. You can even snap photos of receipts right from your phone. Enter the details in FreshBooks. Makes it very easy for you to bill for expenses as well. Never been better. And with an open API, developers can integrate with FreshBooks platform, and so more features are being added all the time. The best support in the world. PC Magazine calls FreshBooks simple and friendly. Its invoice management is among the best. Got editor's choice for both web application and mobile apps. And I agree. I've been using it for years. Try FreshBooks free with no obligation. Start your 30-day free trial at freshbooks.com/twit. And don't forget to put, if you would, This Week in Tech in the How Did You Hear About Us section. That way Baratunde and Nick will get credit.
Yeah.
We won't send them any money, but they'll get credit. Freshbooks.com/twit. Actually, we've offered both of you stipends to appear more often on this show because I love you guys.
I $10,000 of a show it doesn't cut it for me.
Is that what it's going to cost? Is that what it's going to take?
It's going to
more
cost
than 10.
$4.5 million.
How about if I just send a drone to your house?
I have a drone.
Was that a threat?
What kind of drone do you have?
I have a DJI. It's my third one. I crashed one into a wall. I crashed one into the river, and it disappeared. And this is the third one. I don't fly because I'm afraid I'm going to break it.
No, I have a very similar story. I bought a very inexpensive drone, a SEMA, because Father Robert, who is one of our hosts here, is an expert on drones. He's building them on know-how. We have drone school. We do a lot of drone stuff here. And he said, look, the first drone, you shouldn't get an expensive one.
Nope.
Get a $40 drone. So I got the $40 SEMA.
Yeah.
It's not quite disposable, $40, but it has the advantage of being very light. It couldn't really hurt anybody. So
Correct.
First, I put batteries in, charged the battery up on the drone, got the remote. You push the joystick forward to make it go up, and it goes up. And then I try to go backwards. It doesn't go backwards. It goes up. I try to left. It goes backwards. It goes up. I try to. It goes up. It's like a helium freaking balloon. I lose sight of it. I can't see it. I'm going, where'd it go? Where'd it go? It's gone. First time.
No, you never
your
found
drone?
it again?
I walked the property. I walked 3 acres looking for it.
Wait, are
There's
you
no
serious?
beacon? Doesn't it have a
Gone!
location built into it?
Gone in 30 seconds. This was gone in 5.
How do you know someone didn't steal your drone?
Steal it if they could
So
find
you
it.
need a remote. So I had the DJI sent me the Phantom, the latest one when it first came out.
That's nice.
And I was doing a product review, and I was in San Francisco, and the big business editor was in town from the New York Times, and I took him down to the water, and I took this other reporter down to the water too, and we were flying down in this big parking lot, and I was like, and I said to my editor, I was like, take it over the water, let's take some photos of the boats. And he was like, okay. So he flew it out over the water, and he looks at me and he goes, it's not working, Nick. And I was like, let me try. And as he handed it to me, the drone literally just fell out of the sky. And we ran to the water, and that was it. It was gone. Never saw it again.
Now, you didn't buy that one, so you just had to call DJI and say, I lost your drone.
Yeah, so and they weren't too happy about it because it was like a prototype. There was like 10 of them in the world. But we were trying to figure out what had happened.
There's no business like drone business.
There's no business like drone business. We were trying to figure out what happened, and one of the things we thought was in these early prototype ones, they had the switch on. There's a law that a drone can't go within a certain distance of an airport.
Yeah.
And we thought that
maybe they had that on.
That it was turned on and that it automatically shut down, unknowing that it was in the water.
Yeah.
It's one theory. It's also Skynet could be defending itself.
And the other, or ISIS.
And you don't have to get that fancy. I mean, the drone flew out of range, basically, and then just plummeted.
I use drones all the time. They're paper airplanes. That's about as close as I've
That's
got.
what I'm using from now on.
I tried using one a few weeks ago, and then just as I started to get the hang of it, the battery died.
Right.
I'm bored.
Like Nick, I have a drone in a box I don't want to take out because I know it'll just fly away and I'll lose it.
It's like a big open football field.
I was like in a pretty open property. Because it went. So that's the thing to know. This thing can go so high you can't see it anymore.
Oh yeah, they can go thousands of feet in the air.
Maybe a bird, maybe like an eagle snatched your drone. I really like more creative understanding of what happened.
I flew it into the water. That's pretty much what happened.
I'm talking about Leo's disappearing drone.
Leo's disappearing drone.
It's a mystery.
Man. Maybe it went to drone heaven.
It's in drone heaven.
Where do drones go?
You know what? I have been in heaven. I really like you guys. I mean, I think I'm having a little romance. Why'd you move to LA? Why?
Have you seen my house?
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I have seen your house.
I mean,
it's gorgeous.
I have I have grapefruit trees in the back and lemon trees, and there's like a spot over here to sit and relax.
And a fiance. And you acquired a fiance.
Couple of dogs.
How long you been this new lady? Where'd you find her?
Internet. Craigslist.
You could find women on the internet?
$25.
Wow.
Pretty cheap these days.
Wow.
You guys are terrible.
Baratunde, you're doing great too. And you're still in Brooklyn though, right?
I'm in 2 places. I came out to LA in October to do a TV show, which no longer exists. I was on the Pivot network called Take Part Live. So I was
Take
living
Part
here.
was cool. That was very cool.
He was working for
was
Sky Mall.
So what happened? Was it prematurely terminated, or that was the length of the time the show was?
Well, no, it was prematurely. It wasn't renewed, but I would say it was prematurely terminated. They didn't have plans to not continue it. When I joined, for example, but so the show was probably up about a year before I joined, and then I joined, and then it didn't exist. So make of that what you will. correlation, not causation. At any rate, that part is done. But
watch
I still
this
like
though. Watch this.
being out here
Baratunde,
a lot.
Thurston with Larry King, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this was an amazing show.
It looks like this is a seal of the President of the United States, and I see T-Pain and Larry in the middle. Okay, as we all know.
Wait a minute, that's not you. That's T-Pain. Where are you?
I'm not in this.
Oh. Was this before you arrived?
Larry King was on when I was on, but it was a later episode.
Yeah, I thought I saw pictures of you with Larry King.
So
okay.
that's his first time on the show. His second visit, I was there.
So what was the idea of
Baratunde is much better looking than T-Pain.
I agree.
I agree. The idea of the show was, let's have a daily live show to help anchor this new network.
Nice.
Which is owned by participants. It's about social impact plus entertainment.
Yeah.
And there were 3 hosts: Meghan McCain, who's John McCain's daughter, Senator John McCain's daughter, Jacob Soboroff, and myself. And we would run down the day's news. We would debate and have a bit of a round table. We would interview people, sometimes celebrities, sometimes activists, people doing something kind of interesting in the world. And we also did field pieces. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded a whole set of stories that had to do with public health and the developing world.
It was too good.
Good stories. It was a lot of good.
It was too good
show.
for television.
It was a ton of good in the show. They also just learned a lot of things, and one of the things they learned is we shouldn't keep doing this. So I'm not doing that anymore. But I'm on the nightly show.
Look how handsome. Look how handsome Baratunde is on this show. Look at what a good-looking fella.
You're very.
Look at that. Your shirt and tie are coordinated.
Yeah, my style got upgraded out here in LA. That was really, really great. Now I love it out here. So I'm spending more time.
You can stay.
We'll see. I'm gonna spend more time in LA.
We're
I
hoping.
consider myself a resident of both. As I sort out.
Does
my
that mean
future
you've moved in on
steps.
Nick's couch? Are you living on Nick's couch?
I wish I was living on Nick's couch. It's a really nice couch, as you've seen. I'm close. I'm pretty close though. So we're basically neighbors. Yeah.
I love
that.
Have,
cultivated wit is always a big thing. We have our comedy hack day thing,
and that's coming up to San Francisco, February 2nd through 5th.
Sunday, February 8th is the big show as a part of San Francisco Sketch Fest.
Say hi, Baratunde.
ComedyHackDay.org. I'm waving at the computer, breaking twit right now.
What? That's your house?
Isn't that cool,
dude?
See, and by the way, I would never show my house.
Did you buy that from George Clooney when he got married? What the hell?
George Clooney lives here. He's in the back. He takes care of the dogs for me.
What Nick means to say is that he's George Clooney's butler, and it's a great deal. It's a great deal. He gets to keep his dogs.
CultivatedWit.com. You read Nick Bilton, of course, in the New York Times fashion. What is the section?
It just look me up on Twitter. My columns appear all over the place, and you just read it. Just follow me on Twitter, and I'll tweet them every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Appointment reading.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
You have, what do you use, Hootsuite or something to schedule tweets?
Oh, but my column, we have a goal of trying to get it out there at a scheduled time because people look for it and want to read it. And so smart. we do it. So we started now doing it at 11 a.m. Eastern, which is the perfect time for the West Coast when they're driving to work, and it's the perfect time for the East Coast because they're now bored at work already.
Right.
And so that's when it goes out.
Nice. HatchingTwitter.com at Nick Bilton, and the Snapchat is Nick Bilton.
Yes, follow me. I'm doing lots of Snap stories.
Very exciting. Baratunde's Snapatunde at Baratunde on the Twitter. I'm serious, guys. I don't ever want to do a show without you ever again.
Oh man, that sounds.
Well, you're gonna have to come to LA. That's really what you need to do.
Let's talk to a major television network.
Okay. Done.
And see how that goes.
So are we calling this show? What was you had a good joke, Baratunde.
Why is it pointed at me? I think
yeah, that's right. Why is it pointed at me? That was
okay. I like that name. I like that name. We do Twit every Sunday afternoon. We did a little early this time because of the Super Bowl. Well, that didn't pay off, but sometimes it works. Normally at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2300 UTC.
What episode number is this?
This is 495.
Yeah, wow.
495. We're 500ths a month off.
So you want to fly us up and we'll.
You know what we should do is fly you up for the 10th anniversary, which is in April.
What do you mean?
The 10th. This show is 10 years old.
Oh, really?
Our 10th anniversary is in April.
Who was your first ever guest?
Well, it started because it was an offshoot of the Screensavers on Tech TV. So it was me, Kevin Rose, Patrick Norton, David Prager, Robert Heron. John C. Dvorak joined a few weeks in, and it was really that kind of those guys a lot, rotating a lot. But you know what's been great over the last 10 years is we've broadened. I mean, those guys still appear on the show, but we've really broadened it because as I've met people like you guys, and it's really been fun to meet and find really good, talented people for this show. So that's
been very, very, very fun being on this show.
Yeah, but we don't, we don't pay them to be here. They just come out of the goodness of their hearts.
It's fun. That's why.
Yeah, it really is fun. I really appreciate it.
I remember writing. You were the first podcast I ever listened to, and then Daily Source Code way back in the day.
Yes, Adam Curry.
I remember writing you cold, and being like, I think I was trying to how do I get his attention? Because I knew you hated email even back then. And I was like, an Onion employee seeks audience with Twitmaster or something like that.
Did I respond?
You did. You wrote back. And I was like, yes, got to use your employer sometimes.
The Onion was great. Yeah, and I was a big fan.
So thank you.
Well, I'm glad I responded.
Leo, do you notice a theme here? Baratunde worked at The Onion. The Onion is no longer. Baratunde worked for Take Part Live.
The Onion's doing great.
Baratunde worked for Sky Mall. It's all gone. They're all gone now.
Baratunde worked for Sky Mall.
I was the director of digital.
All gone. Right. All gone now.
So listen up, organizations. If you want something to not exist, bring me on.
Hire Baratunde.
I will help your thing not exist.
As anybody who's ever worked in TV knows, every TV show gets canceled. They all get canceled someday, sooner or later.
All right, I think my poor little dog needs to go for a walk.
We'll let Pixel go. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to conclude this as I do every week for the last 10 years. Another twit is in the can.
It's in the can.
Doing the twit.